Warning: the Not Thought podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. There will also be spoilers for various anime throughout the course of this episode. Please use caution in case we discuss a series you haven't finished. Finally, the opinions expressed are those of the individual participants and may not reflect the Not Thought podcast as a whole. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Dub Talk, a show where a bunch of nerds get together and talk about the latest and greatest in English dubs and voiceover. Today, I am King Patrick, aka Roots, and joining me today is Megan.
I get to be the queen because it's in my Twitter username.
There we go. Andrew.
I'm the royal jester. I'm gonna make myself look like an ass for all to see.
I thought you went oop
Jet.
oop 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 oop.
Hello there, good sirs. May I interest you in the royal power of MILFs?
So, this combination of four is, usually invocative of one Team Grimgar. We have come together, and this is actually my first hosting gig it's been nearly 7 years since the Grimgar episode. This is my first time hosting Team Grimgar.
Congratulations!
Holy shit.
It's also, holy fuck.
I'm actually kind of blown away that is your first time holding it.
Also, that it's been
Grimgar
7
episode.
years.
Oh,
So-
Jesus.
A little fun fact, originally, the Darling in the Franxx episode was supposed to be a Team Grimgar gig.
Was it?
And I had originally shown interest in hosting it, and like 2 episodes in, Megan and I were just like, you know what? Nah.
And what did we do? We dodged a bullet. We dodged that bullet so hard.
I mean, you didn't want to talk about, aliens and everything else that happened in the finale?
Okay, so I don't mean to alarm you. It has in fact been longer than 5 years since the first Team Grimgar episode.
7
Oh no,
years.
it's been nearly 7.
Oh, okay. April 24th, 2016, according to the YouTube.
We could have recorded it on 420!
Oh boy.
Okay, well, I mean, there's only one thing to do. We have to, specifically plan an episode for 420.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Let's delay the ranking of King's episode.
Shut your fucking whore mouth, you cunt.
Don't worry.
Okay.
We're gonna hashtag blazing for Bojji.
And so, there's a reason we sit here and make that joke, because, Patrick, how long have we been trying to do this episode?
We have been trying to do this episode pretty much since Ranking of Kings Rat production, which was around April, May, but between Megan getting COVID, Andrew getting COVID, me getting COVID, it just never ended up happening.
I got 2 ear infections and a funeral!
Oh, God. Like, we sat down to record this one night in June before, I think it turned out like one of us was, really wiped. And then we were like, we can come back to do this in a couple of days. It's no biggie. And then somebody got sick with something that wasn't COVID at the time.
That was me. That was me. I went to... I miss you so much, Grandma. I went to my grandmother's funeral and came back with a double ear infection. A double ear infection so bad that antibiotics didn't work, and I had to be moved to antibiotics and steroids.
So
yeah, this episode has been in the oven for months. I kind of hinted that we were doing it with the Sabikui Bisco episode, but now here we are. Toward the end of December, 1 week from Christmas, and we're getting it done.
We are.
Much like our good King Bojji, we did not give up in the face of adversity. We are here, right now, right here,
current
to give
place,
you our
current
thoughts.
time, current channel.
Present day.
Yay.
Present
Present time.
Oh, lordy. This is going to be an interesting night, everybody.
To
Understand. Put in the comments
A
if
shame
you.
he seems an honest man. Okay.
You know what? That actually
gotta-
That actually kind of fits for King Dida. I mean, King Boss. Dida. Oh, Dida, we'll get to you.
So I do have a plot description courtesy of ANN to get us back on track. Bojji is a deaf, powerless prince who cannot even wield a children's sword. As a firstborn son, he strives hard and dreams of becoming the world's greatest king. However, people mutter about him behind his back as a good-for-nothing prince, and no way can he be king. Bojji is able to make his first ever friend, Kage, a literal shadow on the ground who somehow understands Bojji well. And then a bunch of fucked up shit happens.
Is that... Okay, I know that last part wasn't part of the description, but is it seriously good boy meets a friend, and that's the description?
Yes.
Amazing. So, yeah, Ranking of Kings is not that simple. Ranking of Kings is kind of like... How do I describe this? What if One Piece was a Game of Thrones?
Have you ever seen a man get Rue Goldberged into a smoothie? Because that'll happen.
And then get reincarnated in his own second-born son's body. As you do.
Sigmund Freud looks at this anime and goes, I'm out, bye.
I mean, Patrick, that's not that weird. I mean, remember, the entire purpose of Steven Universe is that, like, Steven is the reincarnation of his mother, who is, like, inside his body. This joke may or may not become relevant in a few hours.
It may or may not be relevant in a little bit, yes. So, spoilers for the entirety of Ranking of Kings, obviously, as well as spoilers for major developments in Steven Universe. Just gonna throw that one right out the window.
So does that mean...
like there's some good parallels we'll be making.
So if Rose is inside of Steven, does that technically make Steven a MILF?
Megan, I'm looking at the clock. It's not even 10 minutes. Shut the fuck up.
The ship of Milpheus.
Oh, God. Oh, that one.
I love you.
If a MILF reincarnates inside of her son's body, does her son count as a MILF?
Shut up.
Patrick, I love you so much. I miss your ass so much. If we were in person right now, I'd be giving you a big kiss for your dumbassery. Ship of Milpheus!
So...
Trojan MILF!
So this is a very cute, but engaging, epic, and really compelling show. There's a lot going on.
I would also like to point out that I was one of the first people to be like, no, this show's gonna be fucking great to people.
It was pretty good, yeah. Yeah, it was.
Okay, for the record, like, so back about a year ago when, Hime did not get to experience the plot of Golden Kamuy, and now Funimation lives in her skin. Or I'm sorry, I have to say it as the more correct thing, when they were not Ratatouille.
Yes, when Funimation was not Ratatouille.
On their Discord, which can AKA be called the most chaotic place on Earth, everyone's like, oh, what show are you hyped for? And I'm like, Ranking of Kings is gonna be the best fucking show ever. And everyone's like, I don't know about the art style. I'm like, no, it's gonna be good. I have a feeling in my bones. And then everybody saw episode 1 and was like, holy shit, Ranking of Kings is a much watch.
And then along the course of its journey, because I should note that Ranking of Kings was animated by Wit Studio.
I think this was their 10th anniversary project, too, in fact.
Yeah. Which, by the way, they also were the beneficiary of inheriting a lot of the former Hunter x Hunter turned Ushio and Tora animators from Madhouse and Mappa that kind of left during some sort of schism that went on.
Okay,
And
okay,
went
the
over
fact...
to Wit.
Okay,
Like, they inherited a lot of that staff.
I did not actually know that part in particular, but honestly, the fact that I know that a bunch of, like, Hunter x Hunter alumni were on this show, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But generally, this show is just another example of Wit doing really, really good for themselves after the Attack on Titan breakup.
It's so funny. It's so funny. It is legitimately like looking at a studio that is like got out of a nasty relationship and is now doing a bunch of really cool, really exciting projects that they're passionate about and they're really into, and then their old ex is saddled up with somebody that takes on a little bit too much at once.
Yeah.
Mappa, he has a bunch of side hoes.
Has a bunch of side hoes and is still ignoring Viktor Nikiforov's calls.
Can we move on to who writes and directs this show before I say terrible things?
Yes, we can.
Let's. So we have... I'm just going to put it out there right now. It would seem as if Funimation knew exactly what they had on their hands when when either they or the staff who worked on the show decided on working on it. Because for direction, we have Caitlin Glass, assisted by Emmy Lowe and Nazit Tarsha. And on scripts, we have Jared Green. So, Caitlin Glass and Emmy Lowe, specifically, you would know from such directorial works as Shadow's House, the second season of Restaurant to Another World, and The Saint's Magic Powers Omnipotent. And Nazit Tarsha, you would know his directorial style from things like Shachibato, Hortensia Saga, and the first season of Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out. And you would know scripts from Jared Green from such things as Stars Align, Decadence, and Nomad Megalobox 2.
Oh, you say Nomad first instead of Megalobox 2?
I see it both ways, but I think the Japanese one is like Nomad first and then Megalobox.
No beef either way, I was just genuinely curious. So...
And,
this is a good crew.
What a dub.
And it goes to show, like, Caitlin Glass may have one of the... We've said it before, and I'll say it again. Caitlin Glass may have one of the biggest Rolodexes in the former Funimation.
God, I knew you were going to say Rolodex. It's...
Andrew, me and Patrick and Jet, I think, are over 30. We're old. We know what those are. Andrew, do you remember when there was a cord on the phone and the phone was attached to a wall?
Yes. I'm not that young, Christ.
Says the man who doesn't know anything about Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh my god, is that what you're still...
Or the Little Rascals, or the Sandlot.
Okay, I knew about those, I just confused which was which, alright?
Anyway,
like, not only is... So this was... I'm not sure how much of this would have been produced, like, in studio, how much of it would have been done remotely. It was in that season where that kind of got a little murky.
It was kind of in that timeline where they really got very experimental with who could be in what dub, as long as they had the setup.
Yeah. But at the same time, this was probably around the time when Funimation was starting to become Crunchyroll, and studio
behind the scenes anyway.
Studio dubbing was starting to happen again.
We don't know the specific timeline about this stuff.
Which, but it was also seamless if the transition happened mid-production. Like, I have to say, you could not tell who was done remotely, who was done in studio. This was really a marvel for the engineering side, which I know I probably should have listed down the credits for engineering in my notes, but I
can pull that up quick.
I know for a fact. Oh God, what's his name? I'll circle back around. But it sound, just from the perspective of how it sounds really good. Casting is also top notch. Using a lot of great actors, not just from LA, not just from New York, but also like going into a deep dive in the Dallas acting pool as well.
I think there was also somebody at the time of the recording where they were working and recording from Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Which that was an interesting one to find out where they were from.
I think. Sorry.
I was gonna say I pulled up engineers if you want to specifically credit people like Jeff Bezente, James Baker, Manuel Aragon, Mark De La Fuente, Paul Klein, and Zachary Davis.
Thank you.
No problem.
Like, I just wanted to give a shout out to them as well, because, like, even if this was not, even if most of this was done in some form of studio, we're dealing with at least 3 different regions, if not more, and getting that consistent was, this is probably one of the best engineered dubs Funimation has produced.
You know the old saying, a king is nothing without their kingdom.
Mm-hmm. And it just shows, I think, in Caitlin, in the show, how well put together Caitlin can direct a show. Because there are so many choices in this show that I don't think would have been made under another director. I think that there's attention to detail in regards to other things for how they were done. And I think that there are performances brought out of actors who a lot of people are very familiar with, but they are also very not what you expected. And I'll say who they are when we get to them. But I also really want to give a lot of credit to Jared Green's writing. Because a lot of the show relies on the heart of the characters and this very ballsy plot that's going on. And nothing in the series ever comes off like it isn't period appropriate, like time and world appropriate, or it doesn't have like a sense of just wonder in there. And nothing in the dub between the translation to English to Japanese to English feels like it was lost, or that this is an inferior product. I know that I've seen some people have some gripes with this dub, but I don't particularly agree with them. I overall think this is genuinely one of the strongest eligible dubs for the dubbies right now. And just, God, it was so inspired in some of the choices.
Yeah, I agree. This is a really, really, really solid dub. Everyone is really well casted. It's really well directed. I like a lot of the script choices and the way and the way a lot of the characters just have a really human quality to them. Like there are pretty much no characters who feel one-dimensional in this show. Maybe one instance, but we'll get to that much later. But yeah, I really like a lot of what this dub does. There's nothing here I would really complain about. It's some of Caitlin's best work, and yeah, I would really put it up there as one of her best, and definitely one of the best subs that come out in the past year. It is really worth checking out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really hard to make a dub feel alive, if that makes sense. Where that I think, like, the thing that's so fascinating about Ranking of Kings is that the show and every single part about it, like, there's so many moving parts in the cast and the production of a show like this, and it feels alive. And it's taking, to me, this is a show that is, I know a lot of companies and a lot of businesses are trying to move away from the time of remote recording because it's over, despite the fact that it absolutely fucking isn't. We all caught it this year, basically. It fucking sucked.
Except for Jet. Jet survived without it.
Yeah.
I mean, I caught it early last December, so I didn't escape.
But you didn't catch it this year, buddy!
Either way, the point is, I feel like I understand why it is easier to do stuff in studio than remotely. But to me, this is a testament for the benefits, strengths, and absolutely inspired choices, creativity, and just really compelling cast and crew for a remote project like this. Because this has people from all across the world, basically, doing stuff and being part of this production with some really inspired choices. Some actors I had not been familiar with until watching them in this dub and becoming really interested in hearing more of their work. And just, if anybody's going to helm an inspired and very creatively interesting ship like this, Caitlin Glass is absolutely one of the best captains you can get working a ship like this, because this is a fucking good dub. This is a really good show, but it's also a damn good one. Caitlin and her team absolutely did a killer job. I know it's kind of... there's just going to be a lot of praise for me for this one in particular. This is a damn good show, damn good dub, and goddamn, do I want to talk about it in further detail.
Also, I'd like to point out, too, the dedication of this team. For the fact is this, not a lot of people knew what was happening in the show. Like, a lot of times when, like, you do some, like, a show that becomes, like, usually, like, super big and super hyped, it feels like it comes into this. Example, Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
Everyone and their mom, for the most part, knows what happens in Chainsaw Man.
It also helped that it was very readily accessible and available.
This is, like, the manga for this is still not accessible. Because it was out for a little while in English, but the translation was machine and garbage. The company pulled it, and I don't think it's ever come back. Like,
nope.
Nobody knew what was happening. It was like working, I would have to imagine, it kind of felt like working on an anime original unless they had access to the original Japanese manga and were having one of the translators be like, okay, can you clarify this for me? But I have to just, like, the steady hand, I think, that guides in this dub is beyond what I think a lot of people expected for it, and I'm very glad with the way it came out.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but that is a very fair point.
And, you know, I'll probably get into a little more in-depth with it in final thoughts, but I do also kind of want to agree with you, Andrew, that the dub of Ranking of Kings, if there is any sense of justice in the world of English dubbing for anime, this would be the poster child that says, hey, like, at minimum, the ability to be flexible with casting decisions and remote recording is, like, it can get you some really, really damn good results.
If you put in the time, you will get rewarded.
Yeah.
That's what I would say in defense of that.
Like, I am not afraid to say that this is probably some of the best work, you know, Funimation, Crunchyroll, wherever you want to put that little slash between them.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this for the sake of tonight. Can we just say Funimation? I don't want to call them Crunchyroll Dallas.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So this is probably some of the finest work Funimation has put out, like probably in the entire sort of pandemic era. Though there's also a couple other shows that fit into that same general category that we will hopefully be able to talk about down the road. But I think with that, let's go ahead and start.
I was going to ask you, do you want to go to hell?
Yeah. Let's start going through our characters, and then we'll start talking about the actors attached to them. So starting out, we have the three brothers who are the king and princes of the underworld. We have King Desha, who obviously is the king of the underworld and is currently the second rank king in the sort of ranking of kings system that the world of the show uses in order to say, hey, this king is the best, this one, this one's ranked number 2, number 3.
It is this show and this universe's equivalent to power levels.
Yes.
A fucking clown shows up and asks you to punch something.
Yeah.
So the fun thing is the ranking is a direct ranking of your strength and your might over your people. And when you are ranked number 1, a clown man shows up and asks you to pick a treasure from, I guess, God's kingdom, and then you just never show up again. And it has not been explained yet where you go or what you do when you get to that rank.
You get to pick one prize from the forbidden Chuck E. Cheese prize box, and you don't know if you're going to be mortal by the time you walk out of there alive.
Hey kids, do you want to go to Dave and Buster's?
You're either gonna get the mini TV, or you're going to go insane. There's no in between.
God, it's basically, do you want the boat or the mystery box?
Dealer.
Anyway,
so Wayne Brady shows up and goes, you can have $100, or you can go behind what's behind curtain number 1, and there's either going to be a luxury car or a zoink.
Christ.
Yep.
Also,
but Desha also has some incredibly awesome lightning powers, and
he
was the first person.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, he also kind of looks like Rick Sanchez.
No!
Somebody had to say it.
No!
Hey, Despa, I turned myself into a pickle!
No!
I'm Pickle Desha! To be fair, you have to be very intelligent to understand Desha's motivations.
You absolute whore! I was gonna say he looked like he came out of Venture Brothers! Why would you betray me like this?
I was gonna say he kind of looks like a fuck... I was gonna say he looks like a fucked up Waluigi. Wah! Wow, welcome to Waluigi's Bridal Kingdom!
Let's say Rick and the Monarch did the fusion dance and call it a day. How about that?
That's it. Yeah.
Just like that's it. My friendship is over with you people.
I should have known.
He is the king. Kage goes initially to see if he would train Bojji, to which he refuses, and instead Kage goes to Desha's brother, Despa. He is obviously the brother to the king of the underworld and first prince. He trains Bojji and unlocks the secret power of finding weak points in opponents. It is basically, since Bojji has no capability for strength, that is the greatest talent that could be brought out of him.
It's basically think
For
smart.
Bojji to both see the best and worst in people.
It's think smarter, not harder is the name of the game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the third brother, and sort of the tragic sort of backbone to Desha and Despa's motivations in the story, and that is Oken. He was considered to be one of the greatest swordsmen to ever live, but at some point he inherited his father's immortality, which rendered him a mindless lump of flesh.
One of the things I love about this show is that in the grand scheme of this world, this is a conflict between two kingdoms that's relatively small in the grand scheme of things. There's so many other things going on that are just kind of flavor text, like, oh hey, the three brothers overthrew their mad king father who was a god and basically tried, leading his people with an iron fist and tried to breed his children to get him immortality. And that's basically just flavor text.
Typical Saturday night.
Yeah.
It's so fucking fascinating, and this show does not shy away from how fucked immortality would destroy a person's mind.
And how it destroys families.
And there is a really good argument you could make that the main thesis of Ranking of Kings is the legacy of families is poison.
Or trying to live vicariously through your children is.
Oh yeah,
That too.
Oh, yeah.
that is a. Oh wow, yeah. I think actually you're kind of right.
Yeah. But in any case, King Desha is played by Gabe Kunda, Prince Despa by Chris Sabat, and Oken by Sean Gann. You would know Gabe Kunda's work as characters like Bem in the Funimation dubbed reboot of humanoid monster Bem. He was Kaburagi in Decadence, and Gosetsu in The Vampire Dies in No Time. Chris Sabat needs no introduction, but at the same time, you would know him from such roles as All Might in My Hero Academia, Vegeta, Piccolo, and Yamcha throughout the Dragon Ball franchise, and Christoph I'm always going to fuck up this name. Christoph Giacomini in Yuri on Ice.
I mean, you could have just gone for Ayame and gotten the same point across.
Probably. Sean Gann you would know as characters like Doc from Radiant, Naoya Nita in Hakata Tonkatsu Ramens, and Manabu Takasaki in Nichijou. Which, man, what a heavy bunch these three are.
Oken is suffering.
Okay, before we even talk about how much of his suffering is suffering, can we just talk about the fact that, young, hot, not fucked up Oken looks like Clark Kent?
Oh, yeah.
You're not wrong. Actually, okay, no, he doesn't look like Clark Kent. He looks like the Henry Cavill from... Oh god, what was the movie that he was in that... Mission Impossible, where he had to have the mustache that had to be digitally removed in Justice League.
I was laughing before you even finished the joke because I could tell that's where you were going, and I was like, "That's fucking good."
Now they'll never need to digitally remove it. Now they have to digitally remove him from Black Adam.
Now they have to digitally remove him off the face of the earth.
the DC CGI team coming in. They take out Henry Cavill.
That's okay. Painting painting Warhammer figurines got Henry Cavill a new job, so I don't think he's too sad about it.
He's gotta be fine, but God, that's a shit show.
Please let Henry Cavill voice act in Arcane. Okay, thanks, bye. Man, Oaken, holy shit, Oaken, like, props to Sean Gann for all the noises he had to make. Cause, holy shit, Oaken! Like,
like, that is the best thing about, like, the performance of Oaken, is, like, there are two sides to him. One is the mindless beast, and then there's, like, Oaken. There's the man who became the monster.
And I love...
You only get to see him in, like, an episode, but, man...
I love, like, the contrast in seeing that Oaken before he was the creep monster freak. Like, he was effectively the best of the three. Because it's pretty clear that, like, Desha was a super being, Despa was mostly mortal, but, like, slightly superhuman. Oaken was just a mortal man, but he was effectively the best of all of them. He was righteous, he was kind, he was strong, and he had, like, that... He had that good nature that kept the two of them going during a bloody conflict that almost made them ironically lose their humanity. Like, they had to become monsters to beat their own monster father, and Oaken was the moral epicenter that kept them grounded during that conflict.
He was the most human and kingly of them all, and yet he could never be king because of his father's insistence on things.
Like, the absolute tragedy of Oaken cannot be understated.
Yeah, and I thought that Sean Gann did a really good job during that scene where he's talking to Despa about, like, you know, the tragedies he's had to commit in the name of taking down their father, and how, like, he understands what that has to do when he doesn't, like, condemn him for it, but how he, you know, when it's all over, he wants him to, you know, like, establish, you know, an order of knights who, like, actually protect people, and how he wants to lead that, and I thought that whole scene was pretty nice, and, you know, that made ironic by, you know, the scene that immediately followed where we see Oaken realize he's driven to immortality, and I thought that Sean Gann did an equally good job, like,
freaking the fuck out.
His reaction to that, where he's, like, terrified of the prospect, and, like, that was really impressive.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question for all of you. Have any of you ever played Soul Calibur before?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Soul Calibur 2 was, like, the one fighting game I was good at as a kid.
I'm inept at fighting games. Also, when you said Soul Calibur, I wasn't thinking of, like, you know, Soul Calibur the game. I was like, wait, like, the guy from Guilty Gear?
Oh, lordy. No, not Soul Bad Guy. I'm talking about Soul Calibur.
Think about wife.
So, I mentioned Soul Calibur specifically because if I had to just give a specific reference to what the inhuman, monstrous freak of nature noises Sean Gann as Oaken reminds me of, he reminds me of fucking Voldo from Soul Calibur.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's actually not where I thought you were going to go with that. I thought you were going to reference Nightmare.
Nightmare is kind of similar, but I don't think it's quite the same. Nightmare is a lot more edge monster. And I don't think that's Oaken.
Nightmare was also able to talk.
Yeah, he was basically, the souls of the innocent, blood will be spilled, do not stand before, like that level of gravel. Oaken has, like, this level of, like, monstrous, inhuman sadism that's almost bordering on, like, sexual. In, like, literally taking pleasure in abusing the weak in that level where like, you see him like blushing and like gasping, almost like in this sort of like fucked up erotic nature, and it makes me think of the fucking freak of nature bondage monster that is Voldo.
Oh!
Yeah.
Megan, I want you to go look up a picture of Voldo on Wikipedia and have a fucking field day.
Soul Calibur 1 or 2?
Honestly, it doesn't matter. All the designs are fucking freaky.
Yeah, it goes more and more extreme as the games go on.
Why does he have Mothman on his crotch?
I mean, why not?
At least Oaken had standards to not put Mothman on his crotch. Mothman don't deserve that.
Fair enough.
But also, like, man, Sean Gann's human Oaken, like, just got me in the Kokoro. He's so good. And then there's these assholes.
Okay, so...
I gotta talk about My Little Pony owner, Despa. Despa's horse.
I love this performance so much.
Also, shout out to Jeremy Inman as the head of the guards of the kingdom, where he's got to talk about the fucking horse, and just the levels of the bullshit that I do not get so paid enough for about this goddamn war horse.
Oh yeah, shout out to Jeremy Inman for the captain of the Order of the Knights.
I loved him with the horse scene, and then also, like, even prior to that, where, like, Bojji introduces himself to Nessa, who, like, sends a letter of recommendation and then, like, immediately tears it up. And then, like, Jeremy Inman has to explain afterwards, like, oh, well, you see, you went to the wrong person. And that's what his younger brother, Despa, he has, like, a bit of a complex about him. And just having to explain that in, like, this very annoyed expression, it was very funny.
Oh, and then just like the way Chris Sabat is fucking chewing the scenery with Despa. So much at times, but at the same time, he knows exactly when to turn that off and just go for the drama.
I love it so much. It's a kind of, like, really over-dramatic Chris Sabat performance we don't get to hear him do often. But it's kind of similar to, his Armstrong voice, which is kind of the sort of character archetype you would associate with him the most whenever he's doing that sort of voice. But it's a little more subdued than Armstrong, which I appreciate because, Despa is pretty over the top, but he's not that over the top. So,
so
I appreciate he dials it down a bit, and I'm sure enough Despa has like a very, kind of Larson of Life energy to him. He's very full of confidence and bravado, which is very amusing, of course, especially like around the time he first meets Bojji and Kage. And they're hanging out in a bar, and Despa ends up getting into a bar fight, and in this Chris Sabat's delivery afterwards, he like explains what happened.
So, I think the thing I admire about Caitlin Glass as a director is that she likes to get very interesting and experimental with a lot of her crews, but it's like with a lot of new actors, she likes to take a chance on and like cast diversity and all that, but she also knows when to play like the veteran actor in a very fun role, and I think she knows how to play the Chris Sabat card in some really, really fun ways. And it's so absolutely cemented by the fact that Despa is what if Ayame was the shonen training master.
To which I just remember what is probably like one of the funniest scenes in the whole show, where like after Bojji does his training and like they're in a bar again, and then like a few folks in the bar like make fun of Bojji, and like Bojji takes it in stride and Despa praises him for it. And then, like, immediately they make fun of Despa, and Despa, like, throws a punch.
You can make fun of my student all my once, but I draw the line at making fun of me. And then Kage's like, I think it's the other way around, you jackass.
Yeah, him and Kage's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, my guy?
I adore...
And it's constant.
I think the thing I adore about Sabat as oh god, I almost called him Ayame, as Despa, is that this is not an act. None of this is an act for Despa. this is just how he is. He is just a very naturally vain, kinda greedy, self-entitled guy who's also really talented and skilled at martial arts and, like, things like knowledge and studying and all that. But also genuinely does form this loving, larger-than-life relationship with Bojji. And I can just hear it in my head as soon as they defeat and send King Boss back to his grave, that Despa would go up to Bojji and say, "He may have been your father, young man, but he wasn't your daddy."
Despa's is real. Also, the thing I like about Despa too is that when Kage is basically like being their housemaid, and Kage's like, "I wonder what's going on there." So, yo, what's going on there? I can't tell you. La 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 la. And then when he comes out and Kage's like, "What the fuck is this shit?" to him, and he's like,
don't worry about it. Run along.
Yeah, pretty much. No, when he gets the rapier.
God, I love how I called that, like, a rapier would be the perfect weapon for Bojji, and I felt so satisfied. I was like, what would they get? Ooh, a rapier. It would be point precision, it's light, and it's like, oh, that's such a good sword for Bojji. It's great.
Yeah.
But, no,
And it's just like, it's in the big sheath, and it like, the whole reveal was great.
You know Despa would say unironically to him, "You know, Bojji, it's not about the size, it's how you use it." And then he would just nod and smile, and Kage would be like, "Please shut up, he doesn't understand."
It's time for Despa to teach Bojji about the Pidgeys and the Combees.
Oh, good lord. But no, Sabbat as this vain asshole with a heart of gold, both figuratively and literally, was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
and like, the thing I like most about it is, like, Sabbat was given the opportunity to be both the vain asshole and the gentle instructor. Oftentimes in the same scene, he'd have to switch between them multiple times. And there's also a third kind of persona to Despa, and that is the sort of loyal soldier to his brother.
Yeah.
That manifests in the second half of the series when he's trying to keep Oken away from the troops of Daida's kingdom.
The Kingdom of Bosse.
Or, I'm sorry.
The Kingdom of Bosse.
Of Bosse.
Yeah, specifically that is the solution to the whole thing is to just, throw Bojji at King Boss and let them do it out.
Also, man.
Yeah. But it's just the thing where, like, he has the moments where he's absolutely vain, he's a caring instructor, and then you have moments where he's, like, the 100% competent badass.
Who rides a My Little Pony.
And, like, Sabbat just...
I love White King.
And Sabbat just nails all three.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this asshole.
So, I don't think I've heard a performance from Gabe Kunda quite like King Dessa before.
Oh, yeah.
It is a very unique performance in that he has this strength, but he also has this arrogance to him, which is very interesting in that he is a strong, mighty, and noble king, but he kind of has, like, the appearance, and he carries himself with almost this
villain.
this Slavian arrogance to him. Like,
it's like he is very noble, and Gabe Kunda gets that across. But he's also kind of petty, and but he's also kind of petty and pretty full of himself, and definitely, looks down on people who he thinks are weaker than him. And
he may be.
Gabe also gets that across really well.
He may be one of the strongest kings in the entire world, but he is not above kicking a guy in the nuts to win a fight.
You know, as you do.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that to me encompasses everything about Desha, in that he is strong, mighty, and noble. He carries himself, and when he orders things, people listen. But he also, it's not a mad king. It's not people following him out of fear. People follow him out of respect and true loyalty.
Because he earned it.
He earned it. That's the thing that fascinates me. I love the fact that, like, Bojji sees this is what a high-rank king is. This is a man of strength, conviction, and who has built this strength and loyalty over decades.
It's also probably for him at that point what he saw in what he thought made his father great, because, you know, he didn't know that his dad was a fucking douche canoe.
Like, this is what true strength is. This is what true might of a king is.
Also, I like how, one of the things I like about Despa's whole thing is, it's like, well, kid, I'm not gonna train you, and real sorry about the problems that are going on, but, not my circus, not my monkeys. Couple episodes later, what do you mean Oaken got out? Is my circus, is my monkeys.
He basically stays in his lane until somebody fucks with his kingdom.
Until someone let his brother out, because, Oaken's got a lot going on.
Oh, yeah. But I really do enjoy just Gabe's very, like, strong, commanding presence, but also kind of being a little bit of an arrogant asshole, and it comes across in that. God, I can't get over that scene where he kicks Domas in the dick, because A, it's a fantastic scene, and B, God, Domas is...
Domas.
If anybody in the show...
Domas earned it.
If anybody in the show deserved to get kicked in the dick, God, Domas is the top of the... Even worse than, like, the actual villains, Domas deserved it the most.
Yeah.
But no, I love Gabe's strong, unique... Like, it's nothing like I've ever heard him before. Usually he's got this very strong, deep baritone to him for a bunch of roles, but, like, this is, like, a unique performance and register I hear from them, and it's an absolutely inspired choice. And yes, I'm gonna say he looks more like the Monarch instead of Rick from Rick and Morty. Fuck you, fight me.
Little bit of both. Little bit of both.
Just because you're correct doesn't mean I won't kick you in the God, it has been a while since I've done a Grimgar episode, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So our next group is the loyal retainers of the Kingdom of Bosse. First off, we have Apis, who is fiercely loyal of Bosse, and changes sides to Moranjo, just because, you know,
he got
Bosse
guilt.
and Moranjo were such a thing. That he decided to side with her instead of the actual kingdom.
I'm also sure there may or may not be some other Sigmund Freud relationship there going on.
Probably. There's a lot of that going on. It's a running theme.
We don't have time to unpack all of that, and neither does this show, and it's got like 2 cores.
Yeah. And then we also have the absolute unit, Dorsha.
Dorsha?
He has been assigned to protect Queen Hilling, and he has... I started these notes early on in the course of the show, and he's nearly sacrificed himself to protect Healing twice, maybe 3 times in the course of the show.
And he gets a leg
right on death's door.
And he gets a leg up in her heart.
If
Give the man a hand.
Okay, I'm gonna be crude for a second.
I thought he lost his leg, not his hand.
Oh, I thought I lost both his leg and his hand.
Oh, okay, so we're both right.
No.
He didn't lose his hand. He lost his... Actually, did he? He lost his leg and he lost his eye.
Domas who lost his hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Andrew, be crude.
If anybody deserves the royal pussy, it is him.
Yeah.
If he only could, he'd make a deal with God. He's running up that hilling. I have waited so many months to make that stupid fucking joke.
Jesus Christ.
We also have B-Beam, another loyal retainer of King Boss.
Holy shit, holy shit,
Oh, Bebin.
Bebin.
I was very confused. You said Beepin.
He had put his vote in after the death of King Boss for Daida to succeed him. But in reality, he was fiercely loyal to Bojji and had actually, in the shadows, assigned Kage to his protection. And then we have Bebin's friend, Mitsumata.
I swear to fucking God. He's
a three-headed snake.
Well, used to be three-headed.
No, finish, and I'll say what I felt about this character.
He was a three-headed snake, but at some point before he was introduced, one of those heads was cut off. He is fiercely loyal to both B-Beam... God, I keep calling him B-Beam. It's Bebin. He's fiercely loyal to both Bebin and Bojji. Mainly because Bojji had stood up for him when Hilling had tried to kill it just because she was freaked out by it. His snakes act as an information network that basically keep Bebin in the loop, and that is how he sort of gets a sense of what's going on with the kingdom when it gets invaded.
Mm-hmm.
So we also have We have Domas and Hokuro. I kind of need to introduce them together.
They're sort of a package deal.
Domas is Bojji's swordsmanship teacher. And it seemed like he was on Bojji's side until he kind of pushed Bojji off a cliff.
Long live the king. No! Sorry.
And thinking he killed Bojji and, with the guilt of it all, he cut off his own hand. So he tries to go to the underworld and destroy a portal that is essential to Moranjo's plans. And joining him is Hokuro, who's kind of a squire-level member of the Kingdom of Bosse until Domas takes him in. He is just also a really, really fucking good being.
He's the goodest guy.
I love this group of characters for the specific reason this perfectly encapsulates to me that not all is what they seem. In that, I said this was like Game of Thrones, in that this is a show where character loyalties and true intentions are always forever changing throughout the course of the show, and you can never quite figure out who's really on whose side. Like, at first you're like, Apis is kind of going to be the good dude that's going to be helping Bojji all the way, before de factoing to being part of Moranjo's crew.
Okay, he's less part of Moranjo's crew and more becomes Moranjo's bitch.
You're not wrong. You're crude, but you're not wrong. And then there's, like, Bebin, which Bebin, it's very clear, you think he's a lot more nefarious than he starts out, and then it turns out he's genuinely, like, a kind-hearted person who really wants the best for both Bojji and Daida. And then you have Domas, and Domas is a fucking train wreck of a human being. Oh, good,
you said it before me.
Oh yeah, he is just an absolute mess.
Like, I love that, like, it's very clear that, like, he's very untrustworthy and snake-like, and then it's like, oh, you did the worst thing possible, and you are so overwrought with guilt and despair that you basically are begging this kid to fucking kill you out of guilt.
Okay, Domas is very much a guy who is really, a guy who has a very high opinion of himself, and very much likes to be on the winning team.
I was gonna say, Domus is the guy at the party who spilt beer on you, but doesn't believe that he did anything wrong.
I did it because my king commanded me.
No, he's the guy that would go up to a girl and fake hit on her, and then when she'd call him, I was like, I was just doing it for the bros. The bros made me do it.
Oh, absolutely.
God. Anyways, who plays these characters?
Alrighty. So playing Apis is Luis Bermudez, who you would know from such characters as Ronzo, Kiyama, and Beyblade Burst Quadrive. Fuga Saito in number 24. And there was a little bit of confusion at the time I wrote my notes whether or not he actually was, but I also have him listed as Peyote Diaz in the 2021 reboot of Shaman King.
Did you need another role reference? This part
what you got?
This part gets cut out if you want. Did you want an anime or do you want a game?
Either or.
He plays Sonny Lakir in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean, which I wanted to bring up because he's literally a prison guard that looks like an evil Giorno Giovanna.
Gotcha.
Also, he's the new. He's the new Blanca.
Gotcha. Dorsha is played by Brent Mukai, who you would know from such roles as Joseph in Shadow's House, Alan Key in My Hero Academia's movie World Heroes Mission, and the Earl of Warwick in Requiem of the Rose King. Mitsumata is played by Oscar Sung. You would know him from such roles as Kasen Kanesada in Tokenrambu Hanamaru, Sung Gil Lee in Yuri on Ice, and Thomas Gray, Marquis of Dorset in Requiem of the Rose King. Christopher Waycamp you would know from such roles as Miles Edgeworth in Ace Attorney, Takahisa Hinawa in Fire Force, Shota Aizawa in My Hero Academia, and now Madara, aka the Master, in Natsume's Book of Friends.
I love you, Oscar Sayung.
Bryce Papenbrook you would know from such roles as Eren Yeager in Attack on Titan, Kazuto Kirigaya, aka Kirito, in Sword Art Online, and Gugu in To Your Eternity.
Oh, Gugu's such a good boy.
Domas is played by AJ Locasio. You would know him from such roles as taking over for the role of Marty McFly for the Back to the Future video game, the one that I think
Wait, was
Telltale.
Okay, I was going to ask if that was the Telltale one. Wow.
I think the Telltale one is the only one that was voiced.
That would do it. Wow. Okay.
He was also Eiji Arashiba in Scar on the Praetor. But you would probably most know him as Prince Lotor in the reboot of Voltron Legendary Defender.
Yep, that's the one. That's
man,
the
if you thought Domus was a train wreck, let me introduce you to Voltron Legendary Defender.
Okay. So, I'll say for the sake of conversation, I actually think you could kind of double up on a bunch of these, and it would actually work pretty well. So,
oh yeah,
I kind of want to start on Dorsha and Apis. Because this was a very interesting one in that this was my first time hearing both Brent Mukai and Luis Bermudez, which I found out after the fact. Both of these actors were based out of Las Vegas at the time of recording, which like that one was crazy to me because that wasn't even like a main voice acting hub, and they were both really, really good in this. Lewis, Lewis in particular has this interesting. He has this very gruff strength, like this strength, but this gentleness to him. Like I'd say the way Lewis particularly plays Apis is that of the gentle giant, in that you can tell he is strong and powerful, but you can tell he is sensitive and emotional in a way that is almost at odds with like, the people he wants to defend, as well as being in service to Lady Miranjo, a person who wants to destroy all the people he holds dear to him. So he kind of is torn throughout the entirety of the show, in that he loves his kingdom and he loves his court. But he also is very dear to Lady Miranjo in a way I can almost describe as... like, if you told me Apis had mommy issues, I would probably believe you. God. Let's go with that. But I really like Lewis's particular portrayal of Apis, and I love that, like, level of strength, but also emotional turmoil that he goes throughout the entirety of the show. It's a very interesting dynamic, and seeing that strength and weakness kind of at odds with the character the entire time is really interesting.
I also like Lewis's performance a lot. I heard him a little part of this, and I think the job of King Gnu he was in did come out at least slightly before this, so I think I didn't hear him in that first. But I liked him a lot in that. But I liked him a lot in that dub, and I liked him a lot here. I like him to take another pretty good job at Apis. It's kind of switching between the strength of being a really powerful knight, and then kind of being this weak-willed person who has a lot of confidence issues that Miranjo kind of helped with, but now he's kind of fiercely loyal to her thanks to that, and Brent gets that across really well, and that loyalty kind of puts him at odds with our heroes here, and also kind of with himself, because he's not really sure what he wants to do about any of this. And then eventually he's kind of forced to make a decision where he does eventually have to take a stance against Miranjo, and I thought that Brent did a pretty good job of, making that switch feel pretty believable.
I'd say, if I had to describe Apis, I'd say Apis is kind of like somebody who got out of a toxic friendship and then found, like, a new group of friends that really were, like, good to him and kind to him, and then kind of falling back into the toxic friend that showed up after several years, and then having to learn he grew as a person and he liked the new friendships he really made.
See, I'm not even sure if I would describe it that way, because I don't think he's... Because, like, while his relationship with Miranjo is, like, toxic in a sense, I don't think Miranjo was ever, like, trying to manipulate him, like, the first time around. I think she did just maybe generally take pity on him the first time.
I think there was something there, but it's very clear she takes advantage of him after the fact.
Oh yeah, like after the fact, he's definitely taking advantage of him. But I think like the first time around, she did like generally try to help him.
But no, I think Apis is great. And then fucking Dorsha.
Dorsha's a fucking champ.
Dorsha is... Yeah. I kind of cannot believe how much of a fucking badass Dorsha is. He's so fucking cool.
I didn't get to say a lot about our Apis because you guys said a decent amount about him.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's all good. No, so the thing I like about his performance is Apis was the guy I was like at the beginning, I was like, yeah, this guy rules. He threw the spear and protected Bojji. What a fucking broski. And then it was like, oh no, I've been betrayed. Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Yeah, that happened a lot in the show.
Yeah, really, right? But I really like, that was, Dorsha was, Luis Bermudez, right?
Apis as Luis Bermudez, yes.
Like, God, he's so fucking good. Like, I really like how he just carries the weight of a man who is just filled with the absolute, like, guilt of a lifetime. Because it's like, his character arc is the difference between, doing the right thing sometimes is just, not going with the person who did nice things for you at one point. And it's just like, I get a lot about Miranjo's life was absolute shit. But, we'll get to that. because we don't have time to unpack all of that. We will be making that joke a lot tonight. But I genuinely enjoyed his performance, and I know he's in more things, and I really hope that he does continue to get cast more often.
Yeah.
So Brent Mukai is Dorsha. Fucking... He's got this level of, like, strength to him. Like, level of strength. Like, how do I describe this?
Yeah, I gotta say right away, I am pretty impressed with Brent Mukai's range because, like, I mean, the only other point of reference I really have for this is, like, that is the character he plays in Audacia, and it sounds like night and day from that. So
see, my other reference was the character he plays in Nirvana Initiative, where his head is just a fucking cube.
Oh God!
He also plays. Oh yeah, he also plays Cube Dad.
Andy's Komechi, yeah. That's what his name was.
Yeah,
that character.
Like my point of reference for him is Shadow's House, where he was one of the higher ranking members of the house.
Oh yeah, he was one of those guys.
You know what? I got it.
That was absolutely intimidating, and this is like, I like Brent Mukai playing an absolute bro. Like, this was great. Like, and I think the obvious highlight for me is him in that fight with the behemoths.
Oh yeah.
Outside of Healing's chamber door, where he is just like, he's putting it all on the line there.
Putting it all on the line for her.
Yep.
Which
I really do like how that whole relationship sort of progresses. Where when Boss first assigns him to the job, he's
kind of like upset.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to fucking work with this woman.
I am like the strongest shield. I am might. I am strength incarnate. Send me on the front lines to kill and destroy in your name. And then it's clear that Boss is like, I need the strongest person in my court to protect the person I care about most. And that is you.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I love that his development from kind of like almost hating his role as having to babysit the queen to effectively transforming into that comic of the guy that's working out at the gym super hard and is super jacked, and he's thinking in his head, I'm gonna be so good at hugging.
Mm-hmm.
That's Dorsha. That's Dorsha. And I love Brent Mukai's portrayal of this character, and I love him realizing that Hilling is kind of... He realizes that Hilling's not just this royal regal bitch of a woman, and then just realizes, oh, she's actually really awkward. Which was such a great moment of him realizing, oh, she's actually a little weird. But I kind of don't dislike that. And then it's like, haha, you fucking fall atrocious, buddy. God, Brent's really good as Dorsha. The absolute, like, defending her chambers and then just literally getting mauled is wild stuff. But dude's got strength and conviction, and Brent's voice absolutely conveys all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Then switching from, like, might and strength to something a little more regal? Classy in the shadows.
Bebin.
Bebin is what happens if Christopher Waycamp was playing Shakespeare.
Yeah. And I think the thing I like about this the most is, like, it kind of felt like, at the very least, Chris Waycamp knew where Bebin was going.
Yeah.
At least enough to portray him, like, Oh, he's slinking off in the shadows, but he actually has, like, good intentions in mind.
Chris does a really good job of, handling all that where, you think Bebin is kind of up to no good and kind of a little snide, clearly just, in it to make sure Dinah gets ahead. But no, he has morals and principles. He has things he's willing to stand up for. And honestly, like, if you really look down the entire list of characters and, where everyone stands, next to Bojji and Kage, he is genuinely the best person in the show.
Dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude's got, like, a loyal snake friend that is basically him having, like, satellites in this rural European society. So, like, he's got a good network, but I think you're right in that it's very clear that he's portraying Bebin early on as somebody who is sneaky, but he never felt sneaky in that, like, sinister way. He felt sneaky in that way in that he didn't want to let the mask slip or play his cards too early.
Yeah.
If I had to say what I think probably one of my favorite scenes with Bebin is, it's a scene where he's basically interacting with a very young Daida, in that basically Daida is a royal kid who's kind of a little bit of a shithead sometimes. And that he basically decides to take him around the Kingdom of Bosse. And basically giving him a huge lesson in empathy. In that there is an old man who is wandering... Old blind man, thank you. There's an old blind man wandering around the village, basically asking for, like, food, basically asking for a little cash just to help out. And Daida basically said something along the lines of, I don't know how that person could be able to live their life like that. If I was ever burdened like that, I would end my life right away. And Bebin basically said, if that is the case, then you are you are somebody who is weaker in character than that man every single day of their life.
Yes.
It's that idea where it's like, if you do not have the strength and conviction to go on through adversity, or bare minimum, if you do not have the goodwill and kindness to defend and stand up for those who are less fortunate than you and protect them, then you do not deserve to be king.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that Bebin is that very good moral character for somebody like Daida. Even if he was a little still too young to fully get the picture, it's very clear that Bebin is a good influence on somebody like Daida. And I love Wakeham's, like, sort of sneaky but very good-natured portrayal of this wonderful, loyal snake charmer Shakespearean ninja man, basically. And then there's his snake. Mitsumada is such a good boy. He's basically just a fucking snake Cerberus, and he's got battle scars, and he's missing a head. But he is a baby boy. Baby boy. He's a friend. He is the biggest snake friend in the world. He is basically Bojji and Bebin's bestie, and Oscar gives him, like, the most friendly
I swear to God, so many times when I was watching this show and these guys had finished it before me, I was like, I swear to God, if Mitsumada dies, I fucking quit. Like, I was so mad.
And we were just sitting in the background, smiling slyly because we knew.
He made it out.
We knew that boy was making it home.
He made it out okay, and he also got...
He's coming home. He's coming home.
Yeah, no, he, not only that did he survive, he got to basically be in the final standoff with the squad. Like, he was part of the squad.
He was part of the squad, man!
He deserved it. But I think I love Oscar's just uniquely, like, friendly, good guy portrayal of this snake, which is disarming, but also very fitting, in that this is this big, giant, scary snake friend. But he's just a good guy. He's a good dude. It's like, you saved my life because I was left for dead. You saved my life. I will forever be in your service. I love you, and you will... Mitsumata would give you motivational poster quotes every single day if you were having a bad day. Mitsumata is the friend that would send you cute dog videos if you're having a bad day, just to make you feel a little bit better. Mitsumata would send you stupid dad jokes that you would say, that's fucking dumb, and he would be like, it made you smile. Mitsumata is that good of a boy. I love this little spattle-scarred snaky friend. He is good snake. He would slither, and if he was actually like a snake, he would be slithering around with a little kitty face, and you know it.
Mm-hmm.
He would.
I'm very happy that the little snake made it out alive. I'm very happy for him. What do snakes eat? I was gonna be like, he deserves all of the... And it's like, what do snakes eat?
A lot of things, actually.
A frozen mouse.
I wish my good little snake friend all of the mice in the world to save the Kingdom of Bosse from plague. He gets to eat all of the little rat mice.
Hmm.
And you know what? Just because he's such an extra good boy, we're gonna go ahead and blow dry the frozen mouse. So it's a little warm.
Okay, I want to talk about Christopher Waycamp as Bebin, because I think a lot of us, when we heard it, were like, wait a second, Chris?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, fair.
Like, I think this is probably one of Waycamp's best performances, honestly. I think that he is genuinely I think genuinely it is one of my favorite performances that he's done, because I think that there's like a bit of a fatherly voice to it, because it's clear that Bosse isn't raising his own kids, so he's leaving it to his men to do it. And I like that you bring up the scene where Daida gets to learn that ableism isn't cute for anybody, even if you are tiny and blonde and rich. But I think the other thing is in his backstory, is how much, even though Bebin has been through a lot, he still hasn't lost his kindness towards things smaller than him, even if he doesn't have the best ways of going about it. And I love that kind of, like, dark but not evil sense to Chris's voice, where it's, I am a man who must work in the shadows, but I am not evil. Because I feel like under a lesser actor, they would be a little bit more over the top with it. And then Oscar Sejong, who is one of my favorite underrated actors, he does a lot of really good work and a lot of stuff that he is in, and it's a shame that he is not in a lot of other things. But I think it's because he does a lot of stage stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, my baby. My snack, my Mitsutata. My baby boy. I love how he had kind of like a childish sense to himself, but also was just like, young master, please don't be sad. He was like a loyal dog that was scaly. And it was very, very good.
Baby boy.
Baby boy.
Baby boy. Baby.
Baby.
And then you move on to this next character, Evil.
Well, no. Good cat of the week. Mitsutada protected Bojji and showed him very healthy support. Bad cat of the week. Domas. Pushed Bojji and
pushed him off a fucking cliff. Like an asshole.
Pushed the deaf kid in, pushed his death charge into a hole and cut off his own, and then committed self-mutilation. Bad kitty of the week.
He pushed Bojji down that hole like a cat would knock over a lamp.
Where do we begin with this man? He is
a train wreck.
Disaster.
An absolute train wreck of a person. It would almost be so easy to talk about this character if he was just an asshole. But he's not, which is what makes him so fascinating to talk about. So the conversation kind of loops around to that Domas has one of like the longest growing arcs of the entirety of the show, which is an arc of fucking up so bad and having to make up for that fuck up.
And then learning that forgiveness is tricky.
Oh man, the fact that
forgiveness is a kick in the balls.
And the progression of Domas' character is kind of interesting. Like not even from where we see about in the show, but even just like how his relationship with Bojji first started. It's like because like in the beginning, like when he was first tasked with studying Bojji, he was really excited. You know, he gets to train a parent, and he was really enthusiastic about it. Even like got excited about learning sign language. So he did genuinely care, but you know, over time it was clear he saw Bojji was weak, and you know, rather than believing in him, he started looking down at him for that weakness without, you know, ever explicitly saying that.
I would say Domas was kind of like Dorsha starting out when he was assigned to look after Hilling, but Dorsha never really got the this is why I do what I do moment like Dorsha did. Domas almost had that level of regret, and just he was the first person to really be in a position to lift Bojji up. All he did was let him down.
He didn't let him down, he kicked him. He pushed him down.
He kind of pushed it down, yeah. Like the whole thing of like the mock trial with Daida and basically giving him a blow to his confidence like that for no reason, instead of it wasn't even like a slight suggestion. It was basically, you are being a bitch ass coward. He's such a
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then just blindly following the order to assassinate Bojji. No question, no will.
Yeah, to which there's a lot that can be said about that, but I immediately appreciate that, like when that as soon as Domas agrees, Dada laughs and he's like, "What the heck is wrong with you? Why would you do this?
You're a
this
bitch.
She was your apprentice."
Mm-hmm.
You know what? You are a bitch, Domas.
And then he gets a good puppy dog boyfriend that tells him maybe I shouldn't be an asshole.
I'm about...
Hokuro is such a good bean!
Hokuro looking
so
at...
innocent, so full of life.
Hokuro deserves nothing that happened to him over the course of the show. I felt so bad for him.
Hokuro looking at Domas. I can fix him. I'll be right back.
But I love Bryce's Hokuro. Hokuro is just a good boy, and again, he deserves like absolutely nothing that happened to him over the course of the show.
Oh my god! I just thought of something. I'm gonna have to wait for Megan to come back. Please continue.
I thought he had like a pretty good dynamic with Bojji, where like he was one of the few people who really believed in Bojji starting out, and thus felt the most devastated when Domas literally kicked Bojji out a cliff. But then at the same time, he also blamed himself for not being strong enough to deal with it, and was willing to make himself stronger to the point where he was, you know, even willing to put up with Domas despite the fact that he really also kind of wanted to kill him. And, you know, that's pretty reasonable given everything that happened. And those two have a pretty good, interesting dynamic over the course of the show, where Hokuro kind of brings out Domas's, you know, Domas not necessarily lost humanity, but kind of forces Domas to, you know, to kind of take a bit more of a aim at his own morals and kind of realize, like, hey, maybe I should care about these things a little bit more. and kind of helps to make Domas a little bit of a better person. And I thought they have a pretty fun dynamic, and I like both. And I thought AJ and Bryce bounce off each other really well here.
God, I
Yeah.
I know we're very used to Bryce Papenbrook doing animated stuff. It was very fun to see Bryce Papenbrook get to show up and play the good little bee that is Hokuro. I did not expect fucking Prince goddamn... Oh, sorry. It was just...
Yeah, and I think the thing I like about particularly Bryce's performance is you don't really get to hear Bryce Papenbrook as sort of the good bean, but also he plays him with such this dopey energy. Like, Hokuro really does feel like a puppy.
I'm back.
And it's great seeing him, like, it's fun seeing, like, Bryce's voice come out of a character that's so, like, doe-eyed and
Happy for once?
like seeing everything that's good in the world, even when it goes to shit.
The
And then
anti-Aaron.
being willing, but not only that, being willing to absolutely call Domas the fuck out when he was being a piece of shit.
Because rightfully so, yeah. Mm-hmm. I have a question.
Like that. Yeah.
Is Hokuro a himbo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, oh, absolutely.
Okay. Just want to make
Like,
sure.
he is square in the himbo. Like, he is Launchpad McQuack levels of himbo.
And before
What?
anybody asks, no, Domus is not a himbo.
Oh, Domas is not a fucking himbo.
No, Domas is a fucking Gaston.
Oh man, that is actually literally what I was just about to say. You beat me to it.
What if Gaston hooked up with a himbo that fixed him? What a fucking pair. Oh my god, oh my god. They're Bert and Ernie.
Damn.
Oh my god.
Wow.
You're right.
They're Bert and Ernie. Hokuro, how do you see? With your eyes, master. God, oh my god, they're actually, oh my god. Oh, I'm sitting on this longer and this works way better than it fucking should.
So,
Oh, God.
so I would like to say that I really liked Bryce as our sweet good boy Hokuto. I love that. I love when Bryce gets to play. I think so many people, like, I think in the beginning were like, ugh, Bryce. I was like, no, shut your mouth. Stop being biased because you think Bryce Papenbrook's in fucking everything. Because
He's
you
a
only
good
watch.
actor.
One, he's a good actor. Two, stop watching, like, only 3 anime. There's more things that exist than, like, shit made by Mappa and UFO Table. But I like that he gets to play kind of this more happy-go-lucky character, and I love when Bryce gets to play those. Because I feel like so many times Bryce is kind of shoved into those, like, slightly more dramatic shonen roles. But now it's just like, he's... And I do enjoy that he's just, like, also, like, oh my god, that's so awesome! But I love how he's also, like, really one of the first people that we see who really was behind Bojji. Like...
Yeah.
That he was unflinching in his devotion to him because Bojji showed him... He got to see the side to Bojji that no one else did because he wanted to follow him to see how, like, he was. And he saw that Bojji had a strength that nobody else did when he got to see him putting the flower on his mom's grave and be alone. How no one else was really there for him. Nobody else was ever, like, no one else was ever really going there with him. It looked, Bojji would just go off by himself to make sure his mom, like, his mom's legacy was never forgotten. And he just gets to, you know, like, see that. And then there's the stuff with, like, him calling out Dorsha. And just, he's always been on Bojji's side. And I love that about him. And I love how you can hear that faith in his voice. And how he never gets up. And then there's this asshole. Oh my god. So I am only super familiar with AJ Locasio in Voltron. And let me tell you, for as much as Voltron Legendary Defender shits the bed so hard that, like, people question why it didn't wear a diaper, he was a fantastic actor in that.
Like, the voice cast of that show was incredible.
Yes, and it's really good, and, like, he plays Lotor as the manipulative piece of shit that he is. And I like that Domas, you thought would have that energy, and it's like, wow, AJ was a really good oh no, he's pathetic.
Yeah. Oh, that is the correct word. I didn't even think of that.
Like, the way that Domas is like, and I'm gonna say that in the sense that he gives me a lot of vibes. He's a little bit Ranking of Kings, at least at this point, as of the night I'm recording this. Hi, my name is Megan. I like a small but critically acclaimed MMORPG with a free trial up to level 60, including the award-winning Heavensward expansion, Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh yeah, wasn't that a Pop Team Epic?
Yeah, right? I can't believe they made an entire anime out of it, starring two psychotic girls. But there is a character there that is very, 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 very popular. In fact, over the 35 years of Final Fantasy, he is the most popular character in Final Fantasy history. No, it's not Yuwaka from Final Fantasy X. It is a gentleman named Emmett Selk. And I say this because I want to give credit to AJ for... I kind of want to compare AJ's performance a little bit to that of the performance of Renee Zagger. To which, if you've never heard Renee Zagger as an actor, and you don't ever plan on playing Final Fantasy XIV, please look up some of his voice work as Emmett Selk. It is absolutely fantastic. But, in a sense, their characters are, depending on where you look at, based on their actions, are the acts of a man thinking that they are doing the right thing, but they are going about it in a way that makes them come off as either very, very pitiable, because some people you can see taking pity on Domas for, wow, he's just a really insecure little boy who has all this power because adult men can never be considered for their own actions. Or you can see him for what he is, an absolutely pathetic piece of shit man-baby who would rather throw everybody else around him under the bus, including a deaf child. A deaf and disabled a deaf child who, by the standards of his own country, is beyond, like, just being disabled. Or he can man up and do the right thing, and he chooses almost every time to be a pathetic coward about things and cry about it. And think that he has to beg for forgiveness. I don't want to spoil anything about Emmett Selk's reasons for what he's doing or what he did, but I also felt, in a sense where a lot of people out there would say, wow, his situation is really pitiable, I kind of just sat there last night, as of the night of the recording, where I got to that part of the game, and just went, wow, he's pathetic in coping with this, and he really just needs to learn that his actions aren't worth the harm of others to do so. But AJ just plays it so well. And I'm very happy that Caitlin used him, and I really hope he pops up in more things that aren't Scar and the Preator, because, you know, Gohan's swan song.
God, it really is.
It really was.
More or less.
Anyway, I'm done here.
You said most of everything I wanted to say, but I at least did want to say, just for a story thing, I appreciate the fact that, like, the satisfying arc of the fact that Bojji is a good-natured, kind person, but genuinely has to deal with the trauma and anger and hatred of betrayal he feels every time he looks at Domas, and he hates that ugly feeling, and that he just can't handle that. And it's very satisfying that Domas is so pathetic in that he truly is begging to earn his forgiveness that he literally throws himself off a fucking staircase and is like, I will kill myself as repentance. And then he's like, curse this toned body! I can't even die right!
Oh yeah, that was great.
That's great. Because at that point, it's like, yeah, Bosse is actually genuinely trying to stop.
He's genuinely trying, and he's terrible. But it's very satisfying when there's the big standoff against Boss. Do you stand with me or against me? That Domas is the first to, without any hesitation, stand by Bojji's side. Which was
for once in his life, he did something right and noble.
It was a great cap to his character, and I really thought that was a great note to end on.
Yeah, that was great. It's also really funny about the fact that he's the first one to go down.
He's a train wreck, but he's trying. Anyways, AJ's great. And with that...
Did Patrick and Jet go?
Oh, yeah.
You
We
guys more or less... Yeah, you guys more or less summed up what I was going to say. But at the same time, I also wanted to add that Domas and Hokura are basically the Ranking of Kings equivalent of the entire cast of Animal House.
Oh my god.
Like, they share a single brain cell between them.
Not what I was expecting, but I get...
And they're just...
I was gonna say, Domas pegs me as Kevin Bacon's character getting smacked and going, please sir, may I have another?
Christ.
Like, a combination of Kevin Bacon's character and, like, Bluto. Because Bluto was kind of a dick.
I was gonna say, Dorshe, however, would take Domas's guitar and slam it on the wall.
Yeah.
Alright.
But it's great. They're great beans. Like, the supporting cast of the Kingdom of Bosse is just absolutely spectacular.
Also, I'd like to point out, I'm very, very, very happy that the show, I think another show would have killed off Domas before he could actually, earn redemption. And I'm happy they didn't give him redemption through death.
You know what? Fair.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, the fact that he survives until the end and continues to have to...
Nut up or shut up.
...work for his redemption. Like, he still did not fully earn it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just like, yeah, we're kind of cool with you now, kind of not. Like, I actually really appreciated that.
How tell you're cool, though.
Like, yeah. Because his entire story arc, and presumably from where the manga goes beyond where the show ended, is Domas trying to find redemption, so...
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm glad it was just not handed to him on the silver platter, and he has to continue earning it.
On that note...
Boy, howdy.
So yeah, the royal family of the Kingdom of Bosse.
And now for something completely opposite.
With at least a couple pieces of work in here.
It's everybody you do and don't want to see at Thanksgiving dinner.
So first off, we have Prince Daida. He is the child of King Bosse and Queen Hilling, and he is Bojji's younger stepbrother.
And for one magical moment on the internet, we all united in a way to essentially do to him what everybody... Okay.
Where do you go with this?
So who's seen Cardcaptor Sakura, the original version?
I've seen some of it, but it's been a while.
Do you remember the scene where Shaoran is making fun of Sakura at school, like around one of the first times he's there, and her brother jumps the fence to try to beat the shit out of him?
Yep.
Everybody for like 1 week after watching Domas be like, nah, you're not allowed to fight like that. And then we all watch Daida fucking beat Bojji like a piñata.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Everybody collectively wanted to jump over that fence and beat up a 12-year-old.
Oh yeah, 100%. He got better.
There's gonna be a lot of words about Daida. Some interesting ones.
He got better, but boy did baby Joffrey
Did he
boy did baby Joffrey have to earn it.
Yeah. I'm going to be making a very apt comparison, but we should probably say who plays these characters first.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, toward the midpoint, actually very early on in the series, Data is tricked into getting a Scott Tenorman pulled on him when he is forced to drink his dad.
Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? Did you just call the full thing of drinking his dad's blood?
Scott Tenorman.
Miranjo comes up, starts licking his tears.
Oh, Miranjo. The tears of unfathomable sadness. It fills me with joy.
Fuck! Man, his dad didn't.
Which also
they didn't
theoretically makes Miranjo's father the entire Dallas Cowboys. No, not the Dallas Cowboys. The Denver Broncos.
I was gonna say they didn't make Bosse into chili very well. There wasn't enough chunks in it. It was a little too smooth for my liking. If you're gonna make chili,
Anyway,
you've got to make sure that it's meaty. Where are the chunks of Bosse's flesh? Where are the beans? Where are the accoutrements?
What would the beans be in this case? Kidney stones?
Kidneys.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know the guy who says he got fucking Scott Tenorman.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, Patrick.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so the boss smoothie that that Data is forced to drink basically forces him to take a back seat in his own body, and he's basically turned into a meat mecha as King Boss ratatouilles his body. So that's the thing.
Meat mecha.
And then there's King Boss. He is a giant who became a very high-ranking king, but he ends up dying, spurring Bojji onto a quest for greatness. He also went full fuck them kids, traded Bojji's strength for the potential. He also went full fuck them kids, traded his firstborn son's strength and potential to a demon to gain even more power, and then later, sacrifices his second son
For a body.
in order for a chance to be reborn. As you do, because fuck them kids. We have Miranjo, a mysterious woman confined to a magic mirror. She had consorted with demons in her childhood and had a master plan involving Data, Bojji, and Boss.
And healing.
She ended up releasing a bunch of criminals from the underworld in the second half of the series to wreak havoc on Bosse's kingdom, mainly for revenge because the original citizens of Bosse's kingdom treated her like absolute garbage.
To which, let's just rip this band-aid off. Let's just rip the band-aid off now, because...
yeah.
Slightly dubious story arc.
Yeah.
As we said before, Ranking of Kings is a show where there's a lot of humanity to every single character. And so, and even the ones who seem very evil starting out usually have some kind of complex motivations. That is not so the case with Miranjo's backstory, where there was this kingdom.
It was basically wizards versus gods, and then the wizards sought help from a neighboring kingdom, and the neighboring kingdom was kind of described as backhanded, sneaky, conniving criminalists, like stealing was the way of life, and we're like, we tried to bring society to these poor, unfortunate souls, and they turned that gif of society around on us and betrayed us, and then tortured and maimed a woman and her child for an almost comically sadistic glee.
And if you're wondering, why we're harping about this, it's because it is a very poorly thinned allegory to Japan's relationship with Korea, and the whole denial of everything that they did over there, including the Mad King. So,
I could believe somebody wouldn't be able to know about the actual historical allegory, and even removing that context from aside, it just seems very strange that there is just a society of very, sneaky, conniving, backhanded people that just kind of walk into a house one day and literally murder and maim a child in an almost grotesque, torturous way for no reason. It just seems...
and it's also, in addition, Wit did not go out of their way to try and...
be subtle.
Be subtle about it. In fact, they kind of made it a little more obvious where this allegory was going.
So we just had to bring it up. We like the show a lot. We like this dub a lot, but it's kind of one of those, we gotta at least air that out. It's weird. Yeah. It's a little uncomfortable. It's kind of fucked up, and it honestly doesn't even feel like it really fits in the rest of the show.
Yeah.
1 second.
And we have said our piece on that.
Yeah, so that is that Band-Aid ripped off, and we're going to go ahead and go with the other half of the Royal Kingdom of Bosse, with Queen Healing. She is the second wife of Bosse and the stepmother to Bojji. She's initially very cold toward Bojji, but eventually, really starts to care for him in a way that, she treats her she treats Bojji like her own flesh and blood son.
Okay, I think you described the relationship a little wrong, because you see, in the beginning we're supposed to think she's cool because we don't really know her yet, and they're clearly going for the whole evil stepmother vibe, but it's revealed pretty quickly that no, she actually cares about Bojji a lot and has cared about him from the very beginning. She's just kind of a mess, so. So she has a very awkward way of expressing those feelings.
And it probably was also a little bit of the machinations of Bosse, that basically Bojji would be moved aside and Daida would take over. Which also the entire thing where Bosse put it in his will that, Bojji's supposed to succeed me, and then the entire royal court goes against it, except for, actually, I think it was, just a single majority of the royal staff just says, we're just gonna go with Daida. To which I have to ask, if the idea was Bojji would become king, and then Bosse would possess Daida, was it the intent that Daida, as Bosse, would kill Bojji?
Unclear, but not out of the realm of possibility.
Which brings an entirely new fucked up dimension to this. But coming back to healing, as her name implies, she has a very badass power where she has access to healing magic.
And the fucking arms to prove it.
Oh, yeah. And she is fucking ripped. And not to mention, she chugs potions like Pluto in Animal House. Just complete bender with healing potions.
I'm not sure how you managed to pick the exact least attractive way to describe the hottest character in this fucking show, but somehow you did it!
I try.
To a series one joke I might as well get out of the way now. because apparently, like, back when they were doing the character designs for the anime, Milet was actually supposed to be curvier, apparently, but they decided not to because they didn't want to invoke the evil stepmother thing too much. And I can't remember which voice actor
it was Chris Guerrero.
It was Chris Guerrero.
Like, it's almost like they had to nerf her because they knew if they made her even curvier, she would literally be, like, unstoppable. But honestly, even as she is, God, she's so fucking hot.
Yeah.
Patrick, this is what happens when you don't move on and go faster. I'm literally trying to hold in the thirst.
I'm here. You can keep going out.
All right, we've got Kage, a lone survivor of a race of assassins wiped out in an apparent genocide. He initially cons Bojji to make a quick buck, but it's after realizing that Bojji views him as a genuine friend and sees, everybody around him treating him like crap that he decides, you know what, I'm going to stick by this guy, thick and thin. Like, he's cool. In my book, he's a real one. And he becomes the first loyal retainer to the prince. Of which, Bojji is born deaf and mute and was also placed under a curse that robbed him of all of his potential. Nevertheless, he strives to do his best in everything and puts his mind to and acts as inspiration to those around him. Through training with Mitsumata, he gained the ability to basically react to things that are going on around him, even though he can't hear them. He learns to read lips. He can detect motion of people around him. And then through Dessa, he learns how to exploit fracture and pressure points. And this is all used to basically work around his lack of strength.
So who plays them?
So, in terms of actors, Miranjo is played by Brianna Roberts. And while we'll probably bring her up a little bit in when we bring up Miranjo, I also wanted to give a quick shout out to Madeline Doro, who plays Miranjo's younger self. You would know Brianna Roberts from such roles as Kyoko Huang in Fire Force, Suzuna in After Lost, and Maeve Hoshi Sato in Hateno Illusion. Prince Daida is played by Justin Brenner. You would know Justin Brenner from such roles as Izuku, aka Deku Midoriya from My Hero Academia, Ginro in Dr. Stone, and Mio in Stranger by the Shore. King Bosse is played by Chris George. You would know Chris George from such roles as Lion in Africa Salaryman, Max in SSSS Gridman, and the narrator in Legend of Galactic Heroes, Dinoya Tesa. Queen Healing, you would know, Queen Healing is played by Lucy Christian. You would know Lucy Christian from such roles as the narrator in Okami-san and Her Seven Companions, Paimon in Gatchaman Crowds, and Ochaka Uraraka in My Hero Academia. Kage is played by Sunwon Cho. You would know Sunwon Cho from such roles as Master Roly Majesty in Radiant, Cat Viper in One Piece, and Mustard in Pokemon Twilight Wings. And last but not least, Prince Bojji is played by Emily Fajardo. You would know Emily Fajardo from such roles as Banania in Banania and the Curious Bunch, Tetsuro Hoshino in Galaxy Express 999 Eternal Fantasy, and Manana Nonomura in Chio School Road.
Okay, so I might be a little bit biased to start us off with these two in particular, but I kind of want to start off with Daida and Healing for this particular section for two slightly biased reasons. One is, oh my fucking god, Queen Healing is so goddamn hot. I would... It's like... I don't know how to specifically explain it. It's like somebody basically made Pearl from Steven Universe, but instead of her basically being a disaster lesbian rock alien, she was just kind of like an awkward disaster royal MILF. And fellas, friends, that fucking does it for me, bro. Holy shit. And secondly, I actually think that both Lucy Christian and Justin Briner are probably the best performances in the entire dub. Straight up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard
Yeah.
to disagree with that.
To which I actually kind of wanted to start with talking about Justin here because I want to make because there's a very epic comparison I want to make when that I saw as soon as the show started early out. It's ironic given what Justin is mainly known for because this is basically Justin playing Bakugo.
Yeah.
I fucking hate you. I can't disagree. Fuck.
Oh no, go ahead, Jet.
And I mean that in a couple ways. Mostly in that, firstly in that obviously, obviously Dada kind of starts out as clearly being framed as a bully, who's just kind of messing with Bojji because he has a chip on his shoulder and is just kind of taking that out on him. And Justin portrays that side of it very well. But then we find out that also, like Bakugo, despite the fact that he's kind of a meathead bully, he also has his own set of principles and sticks to them a lot more than you would expect for the kind of person he seems starting out. Yes, he is willing to kind of go to underhanded lengths to become king. He does generally want to be a good king. And wants to be noble like he believes his father to be. And thus, he has his things that he's not willing to put up with, like when Morojo, tries to do the whole, having Boss hijack his soul thing. And Dada immediately becomes suspicious of it, and, wants to make his way to the rankings on his own strength, even if he's not quite there yet.
He basically learned the lesson that his father was too dumb to really pick up on, that I want my strength to be genuine.
And then again, as we mentioned before, with the whole assassination plot, he does order Dobots to do it. It's to do it because he thinks it's probably the best way to solve any instability problems. He does also immediately call Dobots out for being a coward because, again, Bojji was his apprentice, and he doesn't kind of want anyone on his side. He doesn't have any clear morals. So again, Dada does suck, but he does have some principles. And then over the course of his story, he is challenged on his views and realizes that Bojji's situation was a lot more complicated than he thought, and starts to have a lot more empathy for him when he finds himself. Unable to move in his own body and realizes, oh man, this must be what it's like for him just living every day. And finally starts to soften up a bit, and I thought that Justin handled that evolution really well.
I think it's also worth acknowledging that Justin Briner is playing two characters throughout the entirety of the show.
And that's the thing I really wanted to compliment, is that there is Dida, Justin is Dida, and then there's Justin as Boss. And the thing is that not only does Justin have to have his own performance as Dida and his mannerisms for Dida, how Dida acts, he also has to interpret some of Chris's mannerisms as Boss. He can't play Justin as Dida as Boss. I'm Justin Briner. I have to somewhat emulate a little bit of Chris George. My apologies. Too many Chris's in the pot. There's so many goddamn Chris's over there.
You could almost call it a Christmas.
Get out. Unfortunately, I'd say I'd put my foot up your ass, but currently they are both occupied. My feet, that is, not your butts, because I don't think you have two buttholes.
Wait, whose ass are they? Oh, okay, I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead.
One of them is up Emmett Selk's butt, and the other is up my friend's butt for making me cry.
Anyways, please continue your thought.
But speaking of people who need a foot up their ass, Boss, I think the Justin as Boss stuff is some of, the most compelling stuff I've heard from Justin that isn't, No, he did Stranger by the Shore last year, and that was also really fucking good and compelling, and I loved his stuff there. But I think it's really compelling work, and I think that this would be an example I would show people who are like, oh, Justin Briner, he's just a big shonen action actor. It's like, no, watch this. I think he is a truly talented actor, and he's probably one of the best out there in Texas. And then, oh man, Hilling, she's not just made for boys.
Yeah.
First of all, MILF appreciation can come from anybody. It is not a gender-restricted thing. Her milkshakes are what's bringing us to the yard. And we're like, girl, I brought you some Mountain Dew to heal yourself.
Her milkshakes bring all of the royal subjects to her royal court. And we're just bringing the jugs.
I'm not gonna do it on recording. I respect Lucy and Christian too much. Lucy and Caitlin too much to say. Super horny curse thing.
Fair enough, but god damn it, Hilling's so fucking hot, dude. High five.
Also, did you all notice that she was also a nun before she was a queen?
Mm-hmm. God, I actually forgot that part.
Yeah.
Also, a hamster and banana.
Okay. Fuck it. Okay, we're already here. That's not a hamster and a banana. That is... I don't even know what that is. That's like...
A dormouse and a banana?
How did that work?
Beaver in a tree trunk?
This is a serious question. How did that work?
I don't think about it, and neither should you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm pulling out the Takahashi card for that.
Look, the closest...
Andrew, I don't think about it, and neither should you.
Bathtub. Okay, let's move on. Okay.
I'm not done with my thoughts, but man, do you want to talk about an entire group of people turning around on a character?
Oh yeah, Hilling.
Hilling's redemption. Hilling's tour. Like, holy shit. And I think the thing that works for me and about Lucy's performance is that Lucy goes the whole 9 yards with Hilling. We see her being the awful, evil stepmother. We see her being the worried mom who doesn't realize that the way that she's mothering is stunting her children's growth, and she needs to learn to be better. There is the wacky, zany Hilling that, like, you know, is afraid of snakes, but heals this weird two-headed Cerberus snake that's missing a head. There is the I am Moses and I will part the sea with a Beyblade. You are being healed. I cast my Aphlodicus lilies on you to keep you alive. There is just, she goes through the whole fucking motherhood spectrum in 24 episodes, and goddamn does Lucy Christian, I almost called her Lucy Hilling, Lucy Christian sell all of it.
Yeah, she does. To which I've said it about her character before, and I know you're all gonna get mad at me for this, but I kind of have to get it out of the way. But bear with me here. Queen Hilling, like, bless her soul, she is a Karen.
Fucking friendship over. Holy shit. Oh my.
You are not wrong, particularly in the beginning portions of the show.
Okay, to go for it. She's a Karen in that she has a very, like, I want to speak to the manager kind of attitude about things. It is extremely awkward in how, like, she deals with people, and is very my way or the highway about things. But she does at least have enough humility to realize when she's made a mistake and is willing to apologize, even if she is also extremely awkward about even doing that. So, yeah, Karen.
Oh god, okay, this is gonna be the last one, and then I'm going to stop doing this. I can fix her by fucking the Karen out of her.
Andrew!
Okay, you know what? For that, I will say one curse thing. I would take a ride in their minivan.
Andrew, Jet, corners. We're all going to the corner.
Okay. Now that I got the horny out of my system...
Do not make me invoke the Hesrock.
Okay. Genuinely speaking, I honestly think Lucy Christian is like one of the best, most dynamic performances in the entirety of this dub, because it really is like a tour de force of a multifaceted character. Like, the entire spectrum of going from fuck this woman to fuck this woman happens in 3 episodes, by the way. Like, it's like, oh, this person, she's so mean and terrible, to, oh no, she really does love and care about this kid a lot, actually. She's just really awkward. Like, I think Lucy's she's an extremely dynamic and versatile actress, but I'd say it's very rare that not only does she play, like, a very maternal character, because, like, she's got a unique voice. Usually she plays, like, a lot of, like, younger girl characters and stuff like that. And, like, usually when she does play, like, a mom character, it's kind of like a secondary role. It's very rare to have, like, a maternal character that is this much of a presence throughout the entirety of the show and growing and developing throughout the entirety of this. Like, Lucy does the whole tour de force as Hilling, and it's honestly a sight to behold. She's funny, she's awkward, she's kind of really cool and badass when she gets to be, like, the healing power moments. She's really silly when she's trying to, like, get Bojji's attention and really cement herself. She's really... I really felt for her a lot when there's that scene where she's basically having what I feel like people would consider, like... How do I describe it? Like, when she hears Daida and she basically is making a scene and everybody thinks she's losing her mind because she lost her kid. Like, the genuine, like... fear, desperation of trying to get her son back is, like, really, really there. Lucy is fantastic. She does a lot with Hilling, and it's... I'd honestly go to say it's one of my new favorite Lucy Christian roles, period. It's fucking fantastic. Like, it's really incredible. It really is what if Lucy Christian was playing Pearl from Steven Universe. And honestly...
God, the more you bring that analogy up, the more it actually
gets really funny. Yeah. It's because Pearl is very awkward. She's very dorky, but she's kind of a bit of a disaster and trying to be cool for her kids. But she's really maternal and, like, loves them more than life itself. Anyways, remember that...
Do it for her.
And you do it again. You do it for her. That is to say, you do it for him.
You do it for him. And she would do it for him. Prince Hilling has a secret thing on her wall, like where Homer has the "You're stuck here forever," and it says "Do it for him," and it's just pictures of Bojji and one picture of Daida.
God, you're not wrong. Okay, so I know I was talking about, like, the Steven Universe thing and saying Hilling is Pearl. God, that makes it really funny what we're about to say about King Boss now, isn't it?
He's the anti-Greg universe.
Yeah, because I was the first to bring this up, but in essence, Boss is just a male version of Rose Quartz from Steven Universe.
I hate it, but you're so right.
In that he is framed as this very heroic figure who his kid or kids have to look up to. Who in reality is a much bigger disaster than when the next week went on, and is kind of responsible for every bad thing that's happening.
For sure, Boss is a very complicated character with a very... there is no time to unpack his relationship with Morancho.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that much like Rose Quartz, we kind of learn about him essentially in reverse, where, like, By the time he croaks, he does have a, well, not a completely, he's not a completely good person, but he has developed, like, some sense of morals. But everything prior to that, he was a pretty messed up person.
Oh yeah.
Throw the entire man out, Hilling. He was never loyal to you. God, fuck Boss as a kid. Like, just fuck Boss. Like, I I genuinely think this is probably one of my favorite Chris George roles. But fuck this man. The audacity of this entire bitch. Like, first of all, let's be real, Miranjo did not deserve to go through what she went through, and horrible allegories and use of it aside, Bosse fucks her over too. Yeah. In every way, no woman in Bosse's life did not suffer for his own ego.
To begin with, Miranjo's whole tour started basically because Bosse killed her dad in a fight.
Yeah.
Wait, he did? Oh yeah, he did kill.
He basically challenged a wizard to a duel. He nearly died, and then the wizard's wife healed him. That wizard's wife was Miranjo's mother.
Yeah, and then nothing he's done to any woman in his life is only to serve Bosse's thin fucking ego. He acts all noble when he takes on Miranjo, but what does he do? He uses Miranjo's friendship with the demon to get his own way, which, causes that creature to suffer. Because he was an innocent child too, the demon. The weird demon that shows up and points at Bojji and goes, "You?" in, episode 2, was connected to this the entire time through Miranjo, because that was her childhood friend who understood her and had asked, "Never ask me to grant a wish for you." And she was made to go back on that because Bosse basically groomed and manipulated Miranjo.
Yep.
Then you have Bojji's mother, who essentially giantesses can only have one child. Doesn't say anything about the male giants only having one shot in the pump. And she gets killed by the woman that that Bosse groomed, essentially. And she dies protecting the child that she loved, obviously more than Bosse ever fucking did. Bosse only acted like he loved his children. And then you have Hilling, who has to live through her stepson going through what he goes through, and then watching Bosse treat their child together as if he is nothing more than a trophy of his accomplishments. I made this. Bosse is the ultimate dance mom.
Not to mention, Bosse is behind the assassination attempts on Hilling.
Yeah, he doesn't even love her.
He treats her as disposable.
Yeah,
even though he claimed to love her.
To throw him a slight bone, he does at least give Dorsia a head up that it's going to happen, and clearly, it's not obviously clearly hoping it's not, and it's not maybe clearly hoping.
Not all men, but
Yeah, it's kind of he's playing both sides thing.
It's not all men, but definitely this fucking guy.
So, I'm at least also going to throw some benefits to him in that I don't 100% believe... here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, because we're talking about both Bosse and Miranjo now, which is Chris George and Brianna Roberts. If Hokuro and Domas are a I can fix him couple,
I can make him worse.
Bosse and Miranjo are an I can make them worse on both ends. Because I would argue that they are both enabling their worst qualities.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and the thing I want to really highlight about Chris George is that he really does play Bosse with both a sense of arrogance and inhumility towards his children and Hilling and his first wife. But he also plays Bosse with a sense of genuine love and passion towards Miranjo. And I think the thing that really gets me about it is that Bosse's soul essentially gets to escape to heaven, though. That's kind of some fucking bullshit. He deserves to go to hell. All bosses deserve to go to hell. There is no yup for you up there. But I really, really want to credit Brianna Roberts as Miranjo, and who plays younger Miranjo again?
Madeline
Doro.
Dor.
I think that's you from Love Live?
Madeline... Oh yeah, she's a Mountain Dew Chan. That's what we call her in the fandom, Mountain Dew Chan. I really want to credit them both, especially Brianna Roberts, who has both a mother, like... God, oh my god, no. Brianna Roberts is Evil Pearl.
What?
She's Evil Pearl.
Evil Pearl?
Evil Pearl. She doesn't care about Steven. She cares about what's inside, and she's gonna get Rose Quartz back any way she can.
Okay, so like reverse Pearl, which
I said Evil Pearl.
See, I was thinking in terms of like Yellow Diamond's Pearl.
Oh no, like the shadow version of good Pearl.
Corrupted Pearl.
Imprisoned Pearl. The dirty Pearl.
The dirtiest Pearl. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
But the thing is that, like, I think the thing that really works about Brianna's performance as Miranjo is how earnest it is. How genuinely she believes in her plan and her actions and her love. Because Miranjo, and also unlike Boss, kind of, Miranjo genuinely thinks that she doesn't deserve anything good in her life after what she's done. And she's like, what the fuck? Everybody's like, what the fuck, to the revelation of Daida being like, I will put a ring on it.
I can't. So
that's a choice that happened.
Daida, her red flags are big, but red's my favorite color. So what it do, baby?
But like, I love Brianna Roberts' performance in this. I think it's genuinely underrated, because a lot of people don't bring her up as much as they do for other people. I really think that there's also a sense of just pain and longing that she brings, as does Madeline Doro. Especially with the younger Miranjo, who is just, she brings so much a childish energy and an innocence that just gets shattered as her hands are cut off and her face is mutilated. And she just walks around with that mask, and just her interactions with Daida trapped inside of himself are so good. And just credit to Justin and Madeline's chemistry, and Chris and Brianna's for their work across this, because I think that if their passions for each other, as twisted and fucked up as they are, weren't carried by the actors, I think it would make it fall apart.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%. It also does kind of, I think the penultimate episode kind of struck a chord with me, sort of like the hubris of, like, I truly believe Boss could have gone the rest of his life not having a fight if it meant he could keep having his life caring and protecting Miranjo. But I think Miranjo genuinely believed that he was incomplete and was missing something. And then when went to supporting his dream of trying to be the strongest person, that's sort of where it falls apart, and it becomes enabling each other's worst urges.
Because I think even the second time around, like, obviously, Boss knew what was going to happen to Bojji, but I think he did feel at least, I think he did at least feel bad enough about that he was willing to settle down and establish a building and establish his kingdom to sort of atone for what he did. And then Miranjo was like, "No, you got to have another kid because you need a new body," and he decided to play along with that.
It's this weird, fucked up... I'm not even sure what I would call it. Would I call it parasitic? Was that what I would call it? is definitely unhealthy. Whatever the hell's going on here, absolutely unhealthy. I do believe there was at some point it could have been fine, but that's not the path we went on. This is a path paved in blood and mega fuck-ups.
Yeah.
But absolutely adore both Chris George and Brianna Roberts as Boss and Mirancho, who absolutely sold this very dubious, complicated characters incredibly well. Brianna Roberts especially just doing a lot of work as this genuine, tragic, troubled person.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see the part people being a little unsure of is how her arc went. I could see that being contentious for some.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm okay with the idea of you get to live a life, but you must live your life effectively telling the story and making sure nobody else falls the same way you do again.
Mm-hmm.
Which that angle in itself I don't inherently dislike. It is just very strange that Dinah put a ring on it. I'm not sure that's going to be a healthy relationship in the long run, but... Anyways, Chris and Brianna are great, and I really wanted to give them their due diligence too.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready to talk about the goodest boys?
The goodest. The
Goodest boys. Also, can I just make one quick shout out to Monica? I believe Monica Rial was Miranjo's mom.
It was Monica Rial as Miranjo's
And
mom.
Lali, Lila Behrens is
Layla Berzins as Queen Sheena. That's what it was.
Sheena deserved better, but Jesus Christ, I wanted to cry when I watched her protecting Bojji.
God, she was
Like baby Bojji, just.
I love how they have her basically being like a strong badass of a woman while also making her like absolutely adorable too. God, that scene, that would fuck somebody up. Of like, yeah, your mom is protecting you and you are basically being guarded by her body in a pool of her blood.
And you're just like, oh baby boy, you should never see this.
Like that's actual trauma. That's so much.
And yet, you know, as much as it kind of fucks him up, like, Bojji did kind of take that in stride.
Bojji is genuinely one of... I guess we're kind of going into this already.
Mm-hmm.
Bojji is the exact kind of character that people would fall in love with. A character that's near and dear to myself is the empathetic, sweet, sincere underdog who is a secret badass. Is an archetype near and dear to my heart. It's why I love Deku from My Hero Academia. It's why I love Jacuzzi Splot from Block-N-O. It's why I love Iruma Suzuki from Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun. It's an archetype I adore and love. Fucking Mob from Mob Psycho 102 is a good boy, means well, absolute underdog of their own story with the strength and power to persevere. But it's all it takes is somebody to be there in your corner and actually be there in your corner and somebody who never doubted or wavered 1 second. Just your ride or die ho for all times. And for Bojji, his son was a little shadow named Kage. And I absolutely think it was inspired to have Sungwon Cho basically doing what I can only describe as his best Meowth.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what went through my head the entire time, is that this is what if Meowth was your motivational support gym buddy.
To which, man,
Okay.
I really, to which, I'm not kind of imagining what it would have been like if Maddie Blanstein had gotten to play this character.
Bless her heart.
Rest in peace, Queen.
To which, you know, if you really think about it, like, Meowth is very much the wingman of Team Rocket. He is their cheerleader. Like, as much as he's sort of this sarcastic little shit to everyone around them, he genuinely cares about Jesse and James.
And guess who's also a sarcastic little shit? Kage.
And this is also qualities I see in Kage, in particular someone chose performance as him.
Man, it really is wild to pick up Team Rocket, because I'm just sitting here being like, man, I wonder if they're still going to be employed in the next, 3 months.
We'll find out.
Yeah, that is going to be... I'm interested to see where that goes. But that is another discussion for another day. And honestly, I like Emily Fajardo's performance as Prince Bojji. I know there's not, a lot to it. It's less... I mean, it is acting, but it's also, it's more, just vocalizations rather than actual, dialogue.
I think it's also clear that it's hard to tell, but there is dialogue associated with Bojji. I think in English I was able to clear more vocalization of, names in particular. Kage and Miranjo, I know he very clearly says their names when it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
I think... And this isn't meant to be,
It's not a knock on Emily.
Yeah, it's not going to be what I'm about to say is not going to be a knock on particularly Emily or her casting. But I would have liked to see, either a deaf or hard of hearing actor play Bojji. And I know that's something Caitlin Glass tries to do with her dubs as much as possible. And yeah, Emily Fajardo's performance is more or less vocalizations, but, you do genuinely get a sense of, a performance with heart out of Bojji.
Everything that Emily is doing is not a simple task to do. It's very hard to make a character endearing, empathetic, and very likable from just vocalization and noises. And absolutely to her credit, she really, really gets that across with Bojji. And the show in general just makes him extremely charming and likable. And I honestly absolutely say I 100% prefer what Emily does with this character and their style of voice compared to what the Japanese does personally for Bojji.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the interactions of Emily Fajardo and Sunwon Cho, despite not only not recording their performances at the same time, they were in different states while they were doing their performances. It really feels like they were in the same room together.
They just naturally feel like they bounce off each other and are in sync.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah, I would 100% agree there.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people don't take into account how hard, or how much acting can be done through just vocal, noises and stuff. And I do agree that I shouldn't say that, I know Emily Fajardo did bring up that she does have a disability herself. She didn't disclaim what it was, but I'm not going to ask because that's incredibly rude. But I think the thing I liked about their performance was I actually found it to be more genuine than the Japanese performance.
100%, yeah.
It definitely felt more genuine and more grounded. And I think the thing that I like is you can very much tell what emotions Bojji's going through with the way that Emily has to make the noise, makes Bojji's speech. Bojji, it's not like a thing like I am Groot, which in itself is a thing, but it is a genuine speech. It is genuinely them just talking as I am talking now. And I think Emily does a great job, but man, Sunwon Cho is such a phenomenal actor, and I think a lot of people don't want to give him credit for his work sometimes because of where he comes from, or they have petty things against him for his like and dislikes of certain anime media. But man, Sun 1 could really just bring the house down at points, whether it was making you laugh, making you cry. Also, shout out to Emmy Lowe as Baby Kage and Marin Miller as Bojji's mom.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that was Marin as Kage's mom.
Kage's mom, not Bojji's mom. Kage's mom. Just like, man, did you ever... I think I remembered when I realized that beyond episode 1, what made this show special was that in episode 2, it made me cry about a literal blob with eyes.
Oh, yeah. That like, one made me cry hard.
Vehemently cry over its wheels. Like, not everything can do that. And I think some of my favorite stuff with Sun 1 is how quick-witted he can make Kage's responses come out to be. They are dripping sometimes with sarcasm when they need them, and he is just so good at getting across Kage, which is... Again, Kage's... I have to imagine that Kage's lip flaps, which I believe are his little arm moving...
Oh, yeah.
...were probably some of the most bullshit things you've ever had to deal with.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So, to the engineer in Sun 1, holy shit, my guy, you have my deepest respect for that shit.
Salute, Mr. Vicente.
Yeah. I just actually saluted as if someone can see me. And bopped myself in the face. But...
You did good, little buddy.
Yeah, he's just so good. And I kind of like the comparisons to Madeline Bloston taken from Us Way Too Soon. But I think the thing is that, did it channel it? Yes, but is the Sun 1's performance 100%?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about his fucking range?
Oh, yeah.
Because on one hand, you have this, who is a little bit cartoonish, well-meaning, kind of gremlin level, and then you have him as, like, the fucking idol manager in a Gretzko.
Oh, yeah, dude. Sungwon chose range of characters he has played in a bunch of anime, video games, is absolutely...
Not to mention, the man can fucking sing Snow Halation as Goofy.
And his performance here is really something special, because frankly, like, there are a lot of really powerful performances in this show, but I feel like this one in particular, if it did not sound right, the dub as a whole would not really work.
Yeah.
I think these two are a delightful, you want to root for them all the way pair, and I believe both Emily Fajardo and Sungwon absolutely were perfect fits for both of these characters. And while it would seem like there wouldn't be too much to say about Emily's performance, I mean, as we've said numerous times, having to express emotions through just like little grunts alone is a lot more difficult than people give credit for, and Emily does a really good job with that. You can really see a lot of Bojji's emotions shine through in the way she emotes, and it's really well handled, and you really feel for the little guy over the course of the show. I love him dearly.
Yeah.
He's your little guy. He is shaped like a friend, and he will fuck you up if you cross him.
Yep.
Also, can we talk about how fucking awesome episode 21 was? Because holy shit. That was a killer fight.
Uh-huh.
Like, that really was these are the people that did Attack on Titan that have officially broken up with Attack on Titan and are in a much healthier place.
Yes. So I think with that, we're ready for some final thoughts. Who would like to go first?
This is a show that is all at once so grand and yet such a small fraction of a world, and it feels like it. This is a relatively small scale conflict in a much larger world, and like, I love everything they show. This is a creative, engaging, fascinating show with a very complicated, engaging cast of characters. And beyond a shadow of a doubt, Caitlin Glass is a goddamn master of her craft, and this entire cast is killer. This is a killer cast. Truly inspired casting all across the board. Really interesting choices, and absolutely, like, even some veterans in the business we've heard for decades. I'm still getting surprised by a couple of things that they've done, and even hearing some of their best work in this show alone. This is a goddamn good dub. This is a goddamn good show. You should totally watch it.
This is a really strong show. As and despite the cartoony look of it, it does have a real sense of complexity and scale to it that you would not expect at first glance. And there's a lot of humanity to nearly each and every character we meet. That's just really fascinating to grasp onto. Like any cartoony art style really has its own unique charm to it. I really love the way the show looks. It really doesn't look like any other anime you'll see out there, so it also has that going for it, and it also has a really solid dub. Again, everyone here is really well casted, it's well acted, and the script is solid. It's just a really well-rounded experience, and in general, this is just a pretty easy show to recommend. It is really something special, warts and all.
Yeah, warts and all, I would 100% recommend this show. This dub is fantastic. It is definitely a must-watch. I cannot give any higher compliments to Caitlin Glass and her acting, directing, writing team, Jared, their engineers, all of the actors. I am 100% hoping that Crunchyroll, who is now in control of the body of this beat, gives season part 2 of this a limited edition. I swear to fucking God. Anyway, I think that it should be a watch that you show people to show them that the best and brightest shows don't have to be those ones that come with a bunch of people screaming peak, mid, or animated by the same 3 studios. Not that this is a dig against those shows, but I think this is a show that had people not taken the risk on watching this show thinking it would just be like, with the art style, I think that the show would have been so overlooked. If it hadn't blown up, like, because people had decided to take the chance in the first episode.
I would honestly argue its unique art style is honestly kind of one of the most accessible things about it, especially to a crowd of people that wouldn't normally watch anime.
Yeah, no, I love the art style, that it looks like a children's storybook that has some of the best animation. Like, God, there are so many animation moments in the show that made me so happy.
Good.
Yeah.
Like when Daida shakes his whole body and the lines on his outline go away is like one of my favorite parts. But yeah, no, Patrick, take the wheel and end us off.
All right. I know I've been kind of quiet throughout this episode, but I wanted to make sure, like, everybody got to say their piece for each character and whatnot. But I figured this would be the point where I'd really start, like, saying something. First and foremost, I meant it when I said at the beginning of the episode that this is probably one of the most solid Funimation dubs of the pandemic era. I think it is... I really honestly think that this is a very solid argument for the idea of the concept of flexibility in terms of remote casting and remote recording. I know some directors are not a particular fan of it just because of the logistics and the
some companies not naming names
and some of the extra work that goes into that. I really want to be a proponent of letting directors do dubs in the ways they want to do them. Casting people from, if they want to cast some people from LA or New York or hell, somewhere where there isn't an established dubbing community, but somebody with the equipment and the talent is available. Like, I made this argument with the Sunny Boy episode that, like, at that point in time, it felt like if you had the proper equipment and the training and the ambition, like, you had a shot. That's how we got Siddhartha Minas. But it's something I will recognize that not everybody wants to do. They want to keep it local, and that's perfectly fine. But
it should be at the choice of the director and not at the choice of the company telling you, no, you can't do that.
Right. But yeah, the dub of Ranking of Kings is proving to be a quite large complication for my final dubby selection, because I literally can't just put actors from this show in every category. I've got to sort of diversify it. Like, expect at least one dubby to go to Ranking of Kings. I don't know where they're going right now, but it will be there. This is probably one of the most solid dubs of the year, if not, like, for a while.
And I'm very happy we could finally do it this year.
Yes.
Took an entire goddamn year to do it, but we did it.
And frankly, in and of itself, this show is very much my anime of the year. And if you would like to check out Ranking of Kings, it is available on both Funimation and Crunchyroll.
Also, it's worth noting, for anybody who's been watching this for almost 3 hours and is wondering, we are speaking specifically to the English dub, because now Ranking of Kings has an English, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, French, German, Hindi, Italian, Castilian, and Arabic dub, too.
Yeah.
Everyone all over the world will know Bojji.
All of the various foreign language dubs will be made available on Crunchyroll. English is also available via Funimation. And I believe it might be on Hulu now, but don't quote me on that.
English is also the one available on the Blu-ray, which the first part, the Blu-ray DVD, which the first part is out now, the second part still has yet to come out.
Yep. You can get the first 11 episodes on Blu-ray. Like, literally, you could go to Amazon and click Add to Cart, and it will be there in, like, 2 days.
Nice box for part 2, please.
I am really hoping we get a really nice art box with a really good, beefy art book for part 2.
God,
because this show is definitely one that needs it. And if you would like to check on the things we are doing, if you're listening to this via YouTube, we have audio feeds via Podbean and Spotify, as well as Apple Podcasts. If you are watching this via audio feeds, we have the episodes available on youtube.com/dubtalkpodcasts, where there's also some bonus goodies in our YouTube feed, including videos of where we go to cons and whatnot.
And award shows, which may or may not be coming soon, because it's that time of the year.
It's the most chaotic time of the year. Ah!
Mood. In terms of social media, we are on Twitter for while it lasts at twitter.com/dubtalkpodcast.
There may be more. There may be more, but don't tell the Musk that.
And we are experimenting with our social media presence, so stay tuned on that front. We have a Twitch feed, twitch.tv/dubtalkpodcast. Andrew, Jet, and Megan all stream. I still need my schedule to stabilize a little bit before I can start doing that again. So stay tuned for that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Ko-fi where you can make one-time donations, and a Patreon where if you wanted to, contribute on a more regular basis, that is there for you. At the end of the episode, we like to shout out our patrons. So at the $5 tier, we have Megan's mom and dad, Michelle Travis, Julia W., Nico Robin, but with yowie hands, and Victor Mybaroda. At the $10 tier, we have Anthony Brown, Carly Lessikow, Crimson Echidna, Jacob Wilson, Jared Hawkins, Marissa Lenti, and Otaku Anthony. Thank you all for your contributions. It is with that we are able to do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess with that, why don't you guys formally introduce yourself and tell us where we can find you on the internet.
Hi, I'm Megan. You can follow me at Queen Era 2. I shitpost on the regular and cry about Final Fantasy XIV.
Hi, my name is Andrew, aka Classy Spartan. You can find me over on the Twitter at MangaMan9000, and probably on other social medias at Classy Spartan. I just fucking did a Tumblr again called The Classy Spartan. That's been fun again. So look for Classy Spartans if you're wondering where I'm going to be moving eventually if the site falls. But as for right now, you can follow me on Twitter at MangaMan9000. I'm also on Surreal Resolutions Podcast O&A, where we talk about the latest anime news alongside my fellow co-host Jet. Hey, buddy.
Hey, I'm Jet from the Duck Duck Podcast. Wow, man, yeah, you can kind of tell where
we're almost there. You got this.
I'm Jet. You can follow me on Twitter at Divine where I will usually be talking about anime news or video game news or whatever is happening, I guess. You can also find me on another podcast O&A, where I'll usually be shooting praise about anime news alongside Andrew here. I also sometimes write things for A&N occasionally, and I'm also in the middle of doing another thing for another website that'll hopefully be up in the next month or so.
Ooh, looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And last but not least, I am Roots of Justice. You can find me on the twitter.com at Roots of Justice, where I mainly retweet key and animal pics, talk general fandom stuff. It's a good time. You should come see me. Working on writing, scripting stuff, hopefully doing things, and experimenting with my social media footprint. At the end of the episodes, I like to do a Patrick's Cool Thing of the Day. And you know what? This is probably going to be coming out in, early January, but fuck it. Muppet Christmas Carol. That's a cool thing of the day. Check it out on Disney Plus because they newly remastered a lost song for that film that they just added back onto it. Look,
even this coming out in January, it's always a good time to watch Muppet Christmas Carol.
Fuck yeah. Paul Williams.
Fuck yeah, Paul Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I think we can call this episode a wrap. We are currently waiting for the Clown Man to show up to give us our king ranking. Oh, wait, here he is. There's the scroll. Let's see here. Well, at least we're not in last place.
Yeah! Not at the bottom.
Yeah, bitch!
Woohoo!
That's reason to celebrate.
Hell yeah. Oh my god, we're 3 hours into this. I didn't even think to mention it. David Wald was fucking Wario. That was literally just David Wald playing fucking Wario. It was great.
Wow.
Wow, Luigi.
This is now ranking of Waluigi. This is now ranking of Waluigi's. Wah! And that's a Waluigi number 1. Go to Waluigi's Brother Boutique. If you don't, Proton John will cry. Wah!
They nerfed Mario's ass for the movie.
Alright.
Ranking of Waluigi says watch Ranking of Kings. Bojji, good boy. Bojji, number 1. Wah!
Wah!
Alright.
If you don't, Waluigi will Scott Tanham and Daisy.
Okay, alright.
Otaku on there, Dubbas.
Good night, everybody. Otaku. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
し伸ばした